You see the final score, we track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callum McClurg and Nick Morgeson. Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday in the middle of the workday on a gloomy, freezing cold and rainy and whatnot here in Southern California with snow back east. But it's another episode of Press Row, your insider's guide to all things sports business and sports media. With me here till 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. He's Nick Morgeson from Plainview, New York. Callum McClurg here in San Diego, California on this beautiful, but yet, though, still freezing cold in both parts of the country on February 18th, 2026. Nick, I kind of like the baseball or sports start time now of the 5 before the hour here on ETB. But great to see you as always, my man. Great. How are we doing today?
You know what? We're making it through, even though Twitter wants to be a douche in the process. But we're figuring it out, right? We do what we got to do, and we make do with what we got to do. So
that we do.
Yeah. You know what? We have an incredible show. Before we get to all that, by the way, make sure you follow us on social media at Press Row ETB across all our social media platforms. As my phone and Slack decide to go off while I'm trying to read. But yes, at Press Row ETB across Twitter, Instagram, and hopefully TikTok at some point. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Network, and follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, and make sure you help us grow our watch hours as we continue to do some great things. And throughout this show, you're going to hear some announcements for some new stuff. Unbelievably, still working on new stuff.
If you can believe it, folks, yes. And also we have two, and I kid you not, two heavyweights are joining the show today, too, at high noon in about an hour's time. They're household names on ETB, both Tom Albano and Zan Bando from our MMA Outsider show that you can catch live on Thursday with Zan, Tom, and also our good man, Jack Gold, will be joining us at high noon, 3 o'clock Eastern, to talk all things Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano from Intuit Dome in May. Coming up this upcoming May 16th. We'll have we'll have more about that, though, in hour number 2. We also, by the way, do encourage you, if you are joining us live, I know that we, again, have had to come on here 5 minutes early to, again, get all this Twitter stuff figured out, though. We've made it work, that was Nick said, though, with the brand new waiting screen and the intro transitions now. But if you are watching live, we here, though, at ETB are very much fan-driven, as much as you guys are, too, out there when it comes to content, when it comes to getting your thoughts out there, because, you know, a lot of times you'll fire off a tweet to Coward or somebody and they won't read it or they'll skip over it. But we want to be more, obviously, inclusive and interactive. So if you are watching live on either on YouTube or on Twitter, drop some comments. Again, they don't have to be pleasant. Just keep them within the lines, though. But if you do have any thoughts about the sports business or media world, again, fire away in the live chat box. We'll do our absolute best to get to them when time does allow, though, again, because as you folks probably know, though, Nick and I are going a million miles an hour here, getting through all these topics in 3 hours' time. But please don't be bashful. Don't be shy. Give us please say what's on your mind and say your piece.
Yeah, even if you hate us, that's fine. You can, if you like us, hate us, or you're indifferent on us, fine. Well, we have thick skin in this business. Callan and I have been around this business a long time.
Too damn long.
But we have an incredible show. Who would have thought Major League Baseball would be leading the front this early in Press Row? Tony Clark officially resigns after an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law? Yeah. So we're going to talk a lot about that, how that affects the upcoming CBA negotiations. So we're gonna get into that. We're also going to talk about the NBA draft and tanking in the NBA, which you so loved doing on the new episode of MTGP, which comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
You've already heard. I've had a lot of thoughts about the tanking situation and the draft, and they're talking about getting rid of the draft and essentially making free agency out of the draft, which is going to be a complete effing nightmare if they do that. So we'll get into that. And then, as we said, Tom Albano and Zambando, MMA Outsiders Vertical, join us. We'll talk about the Ronda Rousey Gina Carano fight, which is kind of out of left field slightly. This fight, though, was supposed to happen back in 2014.
It's been that long, 12 years.
So there's an interesting story behind it, which includes a phone call from Dana White, apparently calling Gina Carano a bitch on the phone. And that led to all the negotiations breaking down for a potential super fight back in 2014. But better late than never, right? I mean, but of course, it's on Dana White's heavy rival, Jake Paul's MVP Promotions,
who's now getting into the MMA business.
I mean, he's doing a good job. You got to give him some credit because he's getting the fights. First MMA fight, though, at Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. It's a hexagon that they're fighting in,
which is interesting.
And it's the first MMA promotional aspect that they're taking part of. So we'll dive in on that one. The MLB war chest for the lockout as well,
which we even kind of speculated about what it might look like with our man Zambando late last night as we were prepping for the show.
First of all, to me, well, I'll say to everybody, think of that as, are they implying that there's going to be a lockout if they're already building a war chest for the lockout? Just keep that in mind. Also, we'll get into Netflix piracy with podcasts because we all know how much we love Netflix podcasts right now. And of course, it wouldn't be a press row episode without WNBA lockout drama.
Yeah,
and we have a massive update to share in this
massive update, and Natasha Cloud sounding off on social media again, but this time we have the video that we can play for you folks, we believe, on the air today. So a lot to get to over the next few hours. And again, Tom Albano, Zambando, the Albano Bando Dynamite Tag Team. Good Lord, that'll be joining us at
that sounds like a bad person at WWE.
Yeah, but it actually sounds like a pretty damn good talk show on this network. It should be called Albano and Bando. That'd be great.
You're right. Or that was like
love alliteration.
That was like back in the day, like Nick DiMartino and myself. They're like, oh, it's the Nick and Nick show, like the Mike and Mike in the morning show. I'm like,
Nick at Night.
Nick at Night. I used to watch Nick at Night when I was a kid.
Who didn't? All right, Nick, let's get to the nitty gritty though. Again, obviously though, big story of the day. Again, Tom and myself talked about this on Tuesday afternoon, but in a massive shock to the baseball world, MLB PA Executive Director Tony Clark resigned his post on Tuesday. His departure comes amid an ongoing internal investigation that revealed an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, whom he had hired to work for the union 3 years ago in 2023. While the scandal also hits, there was a separate federal probe remains wide open regarding the union's finances and licensing revenue. Bruce Meyer becomes the frontrunner now to take over when the CBA does expire on December the 1st. When that does, in fact, run out, Nick, Tom, and I also even talked about potentially, I believe, Harry Marino might be the wild card in this whole thing, too. And, of course, the other big news, though, Nick, that broke, though, was that, this was about, like money going to a UPS P.O. box at some, UPS or post office store in Florida for this Players' Way camps and showcases, that the money wasn't going to where it was supposed to be. On top of the fact, though, too, Nick, around 8 a.m. your time, 5 a.m. my time, 6 a.m. Mountain Time, the PA normally begins their spring training players meetings, and they were supposed to meet with the Guardians and the Reds, I believe, probably because they share the same complex in Goodyear, Arizona. The meeting was abruptly canceled, and a lot of players, Nick, from Marcus Semien, Jamison Tyone, all talked to ESPN.com's Jeff Passan. I believe Semien called it like it was very much out of left field, like no one had any hint of danger coming here. But, of course, Nick, here's the burning question, though, for the opening segment. With Tony Clark out just months before a likely lockout, has the MLBPA's solidarity been permanently compromised at the worst possible time for the players as of Tuesday?
Would you say this is like unfortunate timing right now for the MLBPA?
I mean, I always say timing is everything, and timing is everything here with where we're at with the game of baseball.
I don't know where to start because one, this came out of left field, like an asteroid hitting planet Earth, which hopefully it never does. But we hear the news that Tony Clark is having an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who was hired by the MLBPA. First of all, why was he allowed to hire his sister-in-law?
Yeah, why is that not a conflict of interest?
Well, of course it's a conflict of interest. It doesn't matter if or when or what job.
Yeah, so why is baseball and why is the PAs turning their nose up at it and sweeping it underneath the rug?
Well, why is it first coming out now?
Why does it come out now exactly?
Because I think what did they say? It was in 23 she was hired?
Yeah, 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
So this got swept under the rug for almost 3 years? Like,
give or take 3 years.
Where's Rob Manfred? I mean, I guess it's the Players Association, so he technically doesn't have
stranglehold. Doesn't really have his hand in the cookie jar with the Players Association.
Well, that's already been going on since he's been commissioner. Like, no one likes Commissioner Manfred. But this is a problem for the MLBPA because how do you recover from a situation where your leader was, unfaithful? I guess is the way to put it.
I don't know, Nick, how they recover. I mean, literally the day that they were going to have the first meetings with the Guardians and the Reds. Now, I'm only saying Guardians and Reds because both teams, and this is a big thing in Arizona for spring training, a lot of teams share complexes because there's just not enough room in Arizona to have everybody that goes there to have their own facility, not like Florida, where teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox and Phillies have their own spots. But the abrupt cancellation was one thing. But then, Nick, though, as the day goes on, though, and then when Tom and I finally hit the air at like 5 after 2 o'clock Pacific time yesterday to talk about the thing for 20 minutes across all of our platforms, more news had come out regarding the relationship. Tom and I talked about the fact of, the Players Way initiative, though, where, again, the money was being funneled to a P.O. box at some post, like a Kinko's or a FedEx store, somewhere in suburban Florida in some strip mall. And the timing here, though, Nick, is absolutely, it feels like for me a death sentence for the Players Association, because now I even told Tom yesterday, what now do you have to do? And I even said, do you have to call a emergency meeting of the Players Subcommittee, go out to some fancy schmancy steakhouse, on Tuesday night, order a boatload of wine and beer to, lick your wounds. But then you all have to put your heads together and say, what now do we do? Because in a way, you got blindsided by Tony Clark resigning on Tuesday morning.
But there's not much you can do because now you have a issue of integrity going on now currently. And I don't know how you fix this because Tony Clark for years had the reputation of being a player's player. Like everyone liked Tony.
The fact, though, too, that Tony Clark became, I believe, first player to become the head of the Players Association because he played 13 years for 6 teams.
Yeah. Well, he was always the nice guy of Major League Baseball. But
I thought the world doesn't like nice guys.
Well,
the old saying of nice guys finish last. Are we sure about that?
No, I mean,
don't step your toes, people.
Yeah, but the thing is, and this goes to the point of that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, you can judge a book by its cover in certain aspects if they're doing inappropriate things behind the scenes. Now, I don't care, sister-in-law, it's still family. That's
yes.
Inappropriate in every shape. Now, was he married? That's a whole different issue.
Correct.
Which, it's weird that people are hanging their hat on that it was an inappropriate relationship because it is. Because you shouldn't be working with a family member, especially with a high-powered job as the head of the Players Association. But
I can speak to that a little bit. Now, this happened, I want to say 6 or 7, maybe 8 years ago. I got asked to fill in for a couple of soccer matches at UC San Diego, not the school I work at. UCSD is, in La Jolla. They're very, now they're a Division I school. At the time, my sister-in-law, much like Tony Clark, but not in the ways that you're thinking, my sister-in-law was working for the university. So I was filling out all the paperwork, just to get onboarded to, work 2 soccer games in the middle of conference play. One question, though, said, do you have family who works or is affiliated with the university?
They do that. That's a common question now.
Yeah, and it's commonplace now. And I'm like, well, she works for the school, but she's not on campus. She works for the auxiliary branch over on Trade Street in Miramar. But and then and it didn't come to fruition. And it didn't come to fruition because I had to go work another event somewhere else and stuff. But that was the first time, though, Nick, I've ever seen that question getting asked, though, about do you have family ties to the organization or the university or the place of work?
That's commonplace. Like now, when you fill out any application, like I'm doing to try to find jobs, like they will say, "Do you know anybody?" Because they don't want it to be a biased or a conflict of interest if they pick somebody, even though that's how they hire most people now from within, because it's usually someone they know through family. But this is a bizarro situation that the head of the Players Association is putting the Players Association at risk when it comes to, I don't know, integrity of CBA negotiations, which I think they're up on December 1st, I think, this coming year. And you're already going through a fight. Now you don't have a leader. And then we're hearing, and I want to try to find that that video also from the one I shared with you with Evan Roberts from WFA.
Oh, Evan Roberts saying he would want either Donald Fair, who we all know botched the NHL lockout in 2004, 2005, and then Scott Boras to become the PA leader. Give me a break, man.
I don't know what his prerogative was there. First of all, Scott Boras would be a terrible head of the Players Association.
I mean, away from him being like one of the best agents out there, he's also not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to basic knowledge of how the sport works. As we heard from him last week regarding the whole TV issues.
But listen to this, because this is hilarious. Take a listen to what Evan Roberts had to say.
I have two names that jump out at me. And if either one of these two names that jump out at me occur, you're going to see no baseball for like 2 years because they will fight a holy war against the owners and this commissioner.
Go ahead.
Number one, go back. Call up Donald Fear. I know he's a little older now, and say, "Hey, Don, it's been a while, but remember."
How old is he now?
I think he was born in 48, so what does that mean? 70, 80?
Yeah.
Something like that?
7 years old.
He's not that old. I mean, he's younger than the president. He can do it. And Sean will be reminded of this. Don Fear also ran the NHLPA.
Yeah. Yep, and had that lockout or strike.
Yes, the lockout.
Thank you.
But Donald Fear is the old hat. He's the one you say, you know what? We're about to go to war. Let's bring in the old legend.
Hold on. Jesus. Why would you want a set? And I'm not age discriminating here, so let me be careful when I say this. But what, a 77-year-old guy you're going to send into the battlefront?
Or forget the age for a second. Why bring in a guy who already has lockout blood on his hands to further ruin baseball?
Wasn't he part of an MLB and NHL lockout?
Notably the NHL lockout, because it cost the NHL the full 04-05 season and may have in a way tanked the league a little bit.
Yeah, but Fear was part of the MLB lockout negotiations, if I remember.
I think he was in 94, yes.
Let's bring in Robert E. Lee. Let's bring in Stonewall Jackson.
Oh, he's 77.
He still got it. You want to win a holy war? Scott Boras.
Excuse me, sir. Did you just say Scott Boras, the guy who infiltrates baseball as being the super agent of Major League Baseball? I mean, this guy doesn't give two shits about Major League Baseball. He cares about money.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness. Those are two terrible options.
I mean,
as one of the only...
He may have to divest himself from all his clients.
Oh, he would. There's no way he would do that.
Yeah, no way he'd do it from the finances.
Not given he's making $80 million a year.
But you know what? If Scott's at the end of the road, this could be his final. You know what?
He's 73.
I don't know. Maybe
he's not at the end of the road.
Maybe he doesn't want to do it anymore. So those are my two outside the box ideas.
I mean, are you serious?
And they both can stay in the box.
Donald Fear would be a mistake. One, because he's probably out of touch because of how things have changed and how labor negotiating has changed in the last.
And track record has got to be 1B. I'm sorry, but track record has to have something there too between the 94 strike and then the NHL losing the whole 04-05 season.
Right. I agree. But
strike one, strike two.
I don't know how I feel about Donald Fear.
Both of them are terrible ideas.
Scott Boras would destroy baseball because his prerogative would be to hold MLB hostage until they get the money. I mean, we heard from Scott Boras last week
Yes,
on
we did.
from Foul Territory, and he thinks that MLB's TV rights are better than the NFL's when it
which
comes
is
to certain
bogus.
things, which is ridiculous. No one beats the NFL. And
Yeah,
everyone,
even I know that. Like that take was beyond bogus. Like, dude, come on, you're not fooling anybody here, dude.
dude, the MLB territorial issues right now we're having with localities when it comes
Yes,
to the
they're terrible.
RSNs. It is a shit show when it
It's
comes
awful.
to. So for him to say that the rights are worth $20 billion,
Now,
like,
please.
who
The
are
NBA's
you-
making what? Well, I mean, what? Well, the NBA's at what, 77.5 billion?
yeah, but who are you fooling though, Scott? Like,
I mean, do you
Scott-
think that do you think all of us baseball fans are that flipping stupid there, Scott Boras? Come on now, dude. Be better.
Scott, stick to what you do best and be an agent. Like, get your players all the money. You're very good at it. I'm not taking that away from you. You are a great agent. You've gotten your players hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. But please, I beg you, please don't cross into the MLBPA. We may not see baseball for 10 years at that rate.
Yeah.
Because we can't
I agree.
agree. Because, can you imagine like him trying to negotiate labor peace with the owners? And there's already, and that clip was right, by the way, that he would have to divest. He wouldn't be able to be an agent anymore. Because talk about conflict of interest. Being an agent as the head of the PA.
I mean, if either of those guys get hired,
At all the failure.
The only thing Evan Roberts said right in that whole clip was that we might end up in a 2-year lockout.
I agree.
Especially if Scott Boras is in charge of the PA. Like,
So Nick, if I can, let me go back and revisit a question I asked Tom before we move on here and talk all things NBA here in about 3 minutes.
okay.
And I know that we talked a bit about this last night, prepping for the show alongside Zan, who will have on the air at roughly in about 40 minutes with Tom Albano, who's they're both joining us to talk all things MMA. As a baseball fan like you and I are, obviously the Yankees are the Yankees, the Padres, we'll talk about them in a little bit about A.J. Preller getting the extension while the Padres are for sale right now. But as a lifelong baseball fan as you are, and much as I am, how do you, as a fan, from your perspective, just from your thoughts right now with the Yanks, and as a fan of the game and the product, how do you right now feel about supporting a 2026 season? Do you go to Yankee Stadium? Do you continue the chase for 30? Do you still watch the games on TV or on radio? Or do you kind of, in a way, choose not to support the Yanks in the season this year? And like, how do you feel right now, if I may ask?
When I first started watching sports as a kid, the Yankees was the only thing I watched for years. I was a baseball fan. And that's how it usually starts for a lot of sports fans when they're younger.
Right here.
They're
You and me both.
They're baseball fans first. And I was like all over the Yankees. That's all I watched. I watched every single game on the S Network every single day or on My 9. I mean, all the channels. And I'd listen on WFAN. Well, at the time it was, I forgot what it was before WFAN. Oh, 880, CBS 880 before that went off air. I don't know if I can support an MLB season because there's too much politicking going on. Excuse me. When it comes to, are we going to get this? The Dodgers are ruining baseball. They're spending all this money. Well, we're going to put $1 billion in, what's the term again?
The war chest.
No. What the Dodgers are doing.
Luxury tax?
No, where they're pushing the money out to the future.
Oh, deferred money.
Deferred money. Let's defer $1 billion out into the future because we don't need to spend it now. We're just going to circumvent the cap. I mean,
Aspiration.
yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's tough to support baseball because, again, the product is not as good as it once was either. I feel like that with all the locality issues and all the issues that Rob Manfred has as the commissioner of the sport, who doesn't believe in fun or trying to help make the league more competitive. Why would I, unless I'm a Dodger fan, which I'm not, thank God. Why are you watching baseball this year?
I'm very much torn. Obviously, people know the San Diego situation of the Chargers being gone. There's been nothing really sports-wise on the Big Four, Big Five to hang your hat on. Obviously, the NWSL's come here, MLS has come here. That's that in a way has helped fill certain days when the Padres would be on the road. For example, I'd go watch soccer as I'm doing on Saturday when SDFC takes on Montreal for their home opener for season 2. But I'm very torn. As you know, I grew up around the 98 Padres, the 96 Padres, and obviously in my lifetime, this has been the most successful era of franchise history, as I'll talk more about with the Preller news later in the show. But I'm very torn, because the vibe around downtown San Diego when the Padres are in season is second to none. Monday through Thursday games are sold out. Is it because they have giveaway nights, or is it because the team's good on the field? It's a combination of both. And it never was that way. There were nights I'd go to games for like $10 and the team would be barely half full, and now they become a destination for, people in town, and people now wear Padre gear more than they wear Charger lightning bolts around town, as I've written on Substack and talked about on here. But I'm very much torn though about you still want to go and be with your friends, watch the teams play. But also it's like, well, that's cool and all, but what's going to happen, though, when the year's over, when the Dodgers maybe have that trophy in their hands for a third consecutive season, and we do, in fact, go into a lockout for a year or two, and maybe it's one of our phony baloney ideas we'll talk about later in the show that we're going to probably launch here on ETB, is that it's very much a tug of war. Like, I want to go support the fellas, support the team, support the city and stuff, but it's also like, but I also don't want to support, owners and Manfred and all that sort of stuff right now. So it's very much like a 50-50 tug of war right now, if you ask me, honestly.
Again, the product is not entertaining enough to watch for 162 games. That's the issue we're running into. If you could get it down to 100, maybe we'd have a different discussion. 100 games. Oh, but we're the owners and we can't afford to lose 60 plus games. Well, maybe if the product wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you cared about branding. Rob doesn't care about branding. This goes all the way back to when he basically offended Shohei Ohtani, who was on the MLB The Show video game cover. And I think Tom mentioned it on the video, or you might have, about the comment that Rob has made about the World Series trophy being a piece of tin.
Yeah, 2017.
Which was the dumbest comment of all time that he ever made.
For any commissioner to say.
That led to arrows being put in the back of Rob Manfred. And Rob has talked about realignment of divisions, which, you want to put the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, and the Phillies in one division? Come on, man.
Come on, the Padres, Anaheim, LA, and Arizona? Huh?
Come on, man. Just stop messing with it. Just stop messing with it and make it a better product. Rob doesn't care about a better product. He cares about the bottom line, which every commissioner should.
Exactly.
But you got to make it more what's the word I'm looking for? More enticing to watch.
Yeah, teams make things enticing. Again, the Padres do their giveaways usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe a couple Fridays where they have $5 beers before the game, and the military Sundays are one thing, and the team's actually good and stuff like that and whatnot. But it's very much like wishy-washy right now at this time. All right, Nick, from all things baseball, all things NBA, we've talked about this throughout the course of the week. But, of course, Adam Silver and his advisors are now reportedly seriously considering abolishing the NBA rookie draft. The proposal would turn incoming rookies into NBA free agents, allowing them to sign with any team. This radical shift is being floated as the only nuclear option to stop teams from tanking. Nick, if rookies become free agents, doesn't this simply allow the destination franchises like the Lakers, Clippers, Heat, Celtics, and Sixers and Knicks to basically scoop up every generational talent, effectively ending parity for small market franchises across the NBA like Utah and Sacramento?
Duh. Yeah. 100,000,000,000% here. Like, you can't take the draft away. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to have what they call top loading in a league where basically the Knicks, the Nets, the Lakers, the Clippers, Celtics,
Sixers.
like anyone that has a star, you can include in there too. OKC,
San Antonio, Houston.
right? And we're not even at half the league yet when we mention all these teams. Basically, what Adam Silver is saying is, let's just start free agency by the time these guys who had NIL deals in college are finished, and just go sign wherever you want. And I'm like, number one, that's a disaster because everyone's just going to go sign with the big teams. Now, not every big team is going to want every player out of the draft. So you're going to get some fallout slightly when it comes to certain things. So you're going to get the surplus of guys that are going to end up in the second level if that's what happens. But it shouldn't be that way. So you have two problems, okay? One is tanking, okay, where teams are just losing on purpose. In case people are tuning in for the first time and don't know this whole thing of tanking, basically, if you're a bad team and you have a bad record, you're just going to lose games so you could get higher up in the draft board, so you could get into the top 5 or try to get that number 1 overall pick.
And you improve your your odds for the draft lottery too if you keep losing.
But that's another, and I'm glad you brought that up too. They need to change that, okay? Where, and I want to look up how the
and we'll talk about the tanking tax too here in our next segment.
But I just want to look at lottery odds for.
I think the team with the worst record gets a 25% chance, and the other teams are at 14.5. I think.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. So team odds for the number 1 overall pick. So team 1 through team 3, 14%. So the top 3 teams have 14% chance.
Sheesh.
The
Wow.
3 worst records have the same chance, which that's ridiculous, by the way.
I still think the worst record has to have a higher percentage of the odds.
Because the weird thing is, so then it drops. So after team 3, then for team 4 is 12.5. Team 5 is 10.5.
So it keeps going down by 2.5% after the top 3 teams with the worst records.
Well, no, then team 6 goes to 9% from 10.5. The 7.5.
So about 1 to 2.5% change in percentages.
Right. But the thing is, I feel like after the top 10, should they really have any percentage at all to determine to get the number?
No, but didn't Dallas have like a 0.6% chance to win the lottery? And they won it?
No, you're proving my point. They shouldn't have it. Like, it should be they should cut it off at some point for the number 1 overall pick.
So basically it should be what the top 5 teams maybe are the only teams in the lottery and not all the teams who missed the postseason?
Yeah, because how is that fair that if team 6 through team 14 get the number 1 overall pick?
Practically all those teams minus
team 10 through 14 could have snuck into the playoffs.
Those are probably bubble teams.
Right. With the new playoff format. But
yeah, the SoFi play-in tournament.
So teams 10 through 14 could have technically been on the bubble. How is that fair compared to the top 5 teams, which are the shittiest teams in the NBA?
Nick, and you'll hear this, folks, on MTGP on Thursday. I filled in for Johnny Montalbano this week with Nick DiMartino. You'll be able to catch it on Thursday in audio form and with the YouTube video form. Is my philosophy, and we said this too on the lounge on Monday with me, Morgeson, and Tom Albano, who again is going to join us at the top of the hour with Zan Bando, is if again you take the match and you burn down the house of the NBA draft, there still needs to be a system in place though where there is a draft order of some type, but it's like a free agency order Maybe you do a lottery with the three worst teams to determine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the worst team gets, I don't know, a 24-hour, 48-hour maximum window to negotiate with whatever player in the draft on the draft board they would like. And if they don't sign them within a day or two, then team 2 goes, team 3 goes, team 4. Now, I know that would be like very much a long process, to be able to fulfill this out, though. But that right there, I think, Nick, could be your entire offseason when it comes to the both, not just regular free agency, but this de facto rookie free agency class, maybe. And I don't know if that would work out, though. But if you dismantle the NBA draft, you're setting yourself up for a lot of failure.
Well, like I said, you're going to be top loaded because
Yes.
all the major teams are going to get access because they have more money than the lower teams. Now, there is draft slots, so you can only pay, I think, a certain amount of money to
that too, and like say like the Lakers, for example, make a deep run in the postseason. They finish like 25th. They have to wait till pick number 25 to actually sign a player. So they couldn't jump, they couldn't jump the board to go and sign, some big stud out of whatever college is owning the game right now.
But the thing is, even if, let's say, you remove the draft process, but you still have like the draft slotting, like you can only pay them a certain. That's actually worse because even if you all pay the same money, if it's all competitive, you can all pay the same amount of money. They're going to go to the bigger situation.
Correct.
New York, LA, wherever. So there's no 100% proof way to fix this. Removing the draft is not going to fix it because all the players are just going to go to the top teams. But I heard you guys, and you're going to hear this on Thursday. Like, you guys were trying to say that tanking was not as much of an issue. You thought there was other stuff that was an issue, including the draft and all that stuff. I actually disagree. I think tanking and draft go together because tanking directly affects how you end up in the draft. So if you can't control the tanking situation, you can't fix the draft situation, whether you're going to keep it or not in that scenario.
And both systems are broken. I mean, everything's broken. Everything's on fire. We threw out his name, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, but again, I don't know what the proper system would look like in a way where does it become like a damn auction or a bidding war, basically for.
Can we do a fantasy auction draft where like
I sat through one of those once. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into?
It's literally a bidding system. You put in whatever you want, but it makes you more strategic, which might be a good thing for NBA teams because then they have to say, okay, this is what I have. And if I want to spend more on this player, I can do that. But then it leaves me less on the back
money on the table. Exactly.
That'll never happen. But killing the draft, I don't think is the answer because.
No, and I think, Nick, I think the only league, and it didn't come to me on MTGP, but I think the only league I know that did abolish their college draft was the National Women's Soccer League. I don't know what that format looks like. I'll look it up here, though, but I don't think any league, though, Nick, could do away with the draft, to be very frank, and I think it'd be dumb if they did.
The only one that the draft doesn't really matter to is Major League Baseball because like most of the that is done in free agency. In baseball, it takes longer to get to the show as opposed to basketball, hockey, football, you name it. For every other sport, you're up there already. Like you make it direct to league by the time that happens. But I don't know. Like some methods I heard, and I actually like some of them. If you dock the pick, if you catch someone tanking, you just say, "Oh, you see how hard you were trying to tank to get to that pick? Well, sorry, I'm taking that away from you." Can you imagine if that was a rule that if you get caught tanking, that you get docked your draft pick and then you can't do anything?
So, Nick, this is actually, so I did look it up, though. So 2 years ago, the National Women's Soccer League made history. They became the first major pro sports league, men's or women's athletics, in the U.S. to completely abolish its entry draft. The move was made, though, as part of a new CBA landmark deal that runs through 2030. The reason or the primary driver for this change was player agency. For many years, the NWSLPA argued that the draft was a antiqued model that treated athletes like property rather than professionals, a la Curt Flood with baseball. Under the old system, players had no say in where they lived or worked. This often led to top talent choosing to play in Europe, where drafts don't exist, rather than entering the NWSL. Soccer is a very much global sport, as we all know. By removing the draft, the NWSL aligned better with FIFA standards and the European model, making it more attractive to international stars, while the league agreed that it changed 2 years before the CBA ran out to ensure long-term stability and to avoid potential legal challenges regarding restraint of trade. So with that, how now does the system work? So with the draft gone, the league has transitioned to a free agency model for all incoming players, including those who are college prospects. College players are now considered unrestricted free agents, as this would be the case with the NBA. As soon as they graduate or they exhaust their eligibility, they can do one of three things: communicate with any of the 14-plus teams in the league, compare offers, facilities, and coaching styles, and sign a contract with the team of their choice. More importantly, instead of waiting for a draft clock, teams now have to actively recruit players. Much like the college recruitment process, teams must sell themselves to top prospects, creating a bidding war environment where teams compete on more than just salary, offering better training environments, housing, and also pathways to development. And thirdly, financial guardrails to stop wealthy teams from hoarding all the top talent, maintaining parity in the league. The league does also have the hard salary cap method. It is set to go up to $3.3 million last season and up to $5 million by 2030. And minimum salary will be doubled to nearly $82,000 within the next 4 seasons. And finally, the new system introduced also has additional rights that fundamentally changed how rosters are built. With no trades without consent, a player cannot be dealt to another team without their explicit permission to do so. And now all contracts are guaranteed, providing that players with giving players financial security, even if they do face long-term or short-term injuries. Your thoughts?
It's not bad in theory, removing the draft, because then maybe they can come up with a system based on who's the worst team and who's the best team. When it comes in that scenario. But again, removing a draft removes structure for, the worst team needs help so that they can get back up to the top, because they've been miserable, some of these franchises, for decades.
Right.
Like, for example, in the NBA, the Sacramento Kings have been one of the laughing stocks of the NBA. The Wizards have been one of the laughing stocks.
And I was going to say, Nick and I talked about the Wizards on the program on Thursday, about them being poorly run for like 50 years.
That's why I brought it up. But yes, the Wizards have been a joke since John Wall was drafted in that franchise. Now,
they've been a joke since they went from the Bullets to the Wizards, and they last won the championship in '78 with Elvin Hayes.
But everyone's like, John Wall's going to come in and blah, blah, blah. By the way, they tanked to get John Wall. Let's call a spade a spade. You'd say the same thing for the Bulls when they tanked for Derrick Rose, which ended up being a disaster.
Trust the process 76ers.
Oh, God. I mean, between Joel Embiid and now he refuses to play back-to-back games anymore. But you know what? The draft system is broken. The tanking system is affecting that, because you're having issues like you talked about, even though he said the wrong network. But
you got NBC and Prime paying all this money, and all these guys aren't playing.
But I don't agree with him from the standpoint of that we shouldn't be worrying about load management. Like that's another one. Like, if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of NBA issues, load management is really 1A, 1B with tanking. Like, and we talked about this before, but the reason we're in this tanking, in this nonsense mess that's affecting the draft, is because you had Kawhi and Tony Parker and Tim Duncan sitting out of a national game.
Manu Ginobili. So the big four were sitting out of a game after a long road trip. And we're only making a big deal out of it, Nick, as well, because as you went off, though, in a good way on Monday, for the simple fact that the Jazz and Pacers both get fined either $100K or $500,000 for either pulling players out in the fourth quarter or not having certain guys playing. To your point, though, the Jazz won the game. As your boy Herm Edwards would say with the Jets, you play to win the game. They won the damn game. And as I said, though, on MTGP, they still got that damn fine, though, in the mail the following night or day.
Well, my issue more, besides that, is fines don't come out until after a game.
Exactly.
So think about the timing of that from the standpoint of, okay, I sat my starters, blah, 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 blah.
It's about as useless, Nick, as the last 2-minute report.
Oh, the L2M report. Ugh,
Yes,
my
your favorite thing in the world.
But Ryan Smith, who is, I think he's also the owner of the Mammoth, right?
Yes.
Have they made it into the hockey in the NHL yet or no?
Yeah, they've been in since last season.
Okay. Because I don't see them anywhere.
Oh, they're also on a Olympic break right now too.
Well, no. But I'm saying I haven't heard much about them. So this was the Jazz owner's tweet after that whole incident happened. Agree to disagree. Also, we won the game in Miami and got fined. That makes sense? No, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Now, I guess what Adam Silver and the commissioner's office is going to say, well, it's the player participation policy. And
Who cares?
first of all, that policy is bogus, in my opinion, the player participation policy. If you have a legitimate reason to sit out, whether it's, I don't think fatigue should count as a reason of sitting out. That's another thing that I said on the lounge on Saturday and Monday. I said, because Nick was saying, and I think he said at MTGP too, that I have no problem with people resting and load managing. What are you talking about, Nick? I said, these guys get paid $40-50 million. You're charging people for tickets and parking and food and all these concessions, and you're okay with them sitting on the bench and not playing?
So, I mean, and I think I kind of try to make the counterpoint though. Like, I mean, if they sit for home games, that's fine because the home fans see them, 41 times a year though. But if you go on the road to a non-conference, non-division opponent and they don't play, that's where the line in the sand's getting crossed.
But I still think it could be bad at home games. Say someone's traveling internationally and they want to check out a game for the first time, which that does happen. NBA is a very international fan base now.
It is.
And say, oh, I really wanted to go check out Steph Curry, or I wanted to go check out Kevin Durant or LeBron James or any big star. And they're not playing that night because the team felt it was in their best interest, not the fans, not the integrity of the game, but their own selfishness, that they're going to sit out of the game. I'm tired of hearing, because Nick also said that, oh, the game is faster and the possessions are longer. What does that have to do with
bigger, stronger, faster? Yeah.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with anything?
Nothing.
If I, as a fan, guys getting paid $50 or $60 million, you better get your freaking ass out on that court and play 82 games. I don't want to hear it. Unless you're legitimately injured and you can't move, then I don't want to hear it. Load management is the worst thing for the NBA when it comes to seeing the stars. You want to know why sometimes they have an issue? Because their biggest stars are not out there.
And it robs fans, as you were saying, of seeing these guys play and seeing the best in the NBA, the best in the basketball world play their game.
Right. So I'm frustrated from a standpoint of, and that's why I won't go to as many NBA games, because how do I know the freaking stars are going to start?
And that went to a point too on that I'll bring up on Thursdays. I went to watch the Clippers play Philadelphia roughly 2 weeks ago and to check out Intuit Dome. I'm like, okay, well, they're playing Philly, so Embiid better be out there. Maxey better be out there. Edgecombe better be out there. Kawhi better be out there, for God's sakes. He's a SDSU alum, and I obviously watched him play when he was here playing for Steve Fisher. And then that was also the undercurrent of the whole, okay, Harden's not playing. It's a little weird. And then literally at halftime, breaking news from Shams, the Clippers are trying to trade Harden to the Cavaliers for Darius Garland.
Which they did, by the
Which
way.
they ended up doing the following day, but yes.
By the way, James Harden has moved how many freaking times now? I mean,
OKC, Houston, Philly,
the Nets,
Brooklyn, LA, Cleveland, 6 times.
I mean, Kevin, and I find it funny that Harden and Durant don't like each other, but they're doing the same thing as they move from team to team, and they don't fit wherever they go. Watch, the Rockets are gonna flame out, and then he's gonna go blame the Rockets and go ask for a trade.
Exactly.
Again, I mean, there's so many issues right now with the NBA, and including this stupid thing with Kevin Durant and the alleged burner accounts too. Did you see that?
That whole
story?
thing is weird too.
So apparently someone found his burner account Finally. It's been out there forever.
And they're just now finding it.
I wonder who squealed on him, though, right? Like,
Yeah, who's the whistleblower?
the NBA has a lot of problems. The list is the draft, tanking, All-Star weekend. I don't know, but tank. That's a good name for it, actually.
Well, I mean, this is also a segue. Again, we'll have Zan and we hope to have Tom Albano join us too in about 10 minutes here on PR. But Nick, also in wake of the tanking issues, ESPN NBA analyst Bobby Marks reported that at least one unnamed NBA team is willing to pay whatever fines come down from the NBA front office in order to secure a top pick in the upcoming draft. These teams reportedly view the millions in fines as a luxury tax for a potential franchise-altering prospect that could help their team turn a corner. But, Nick, if teams are viewing the NBA discipline as another line item on the budget or a slap on the wrist, is the Adam Silver anti-tanking system officially now losing its teeth in steam?
Well, I'm trying to find the tweet that Mark Cuban put out, by the way, because he's in favor of tanking, by the way, which I find bizarro in a lot of ways. I'm trying to see if I can find here. He said, I've paid more in tanking fines, 1.2 million, than the rest of the NBA combined. How do you know what's tanking, though? That's the problem.
Then that went to DMart's point that you'll hear on MTGP on Thursday. Like, how do we, though, sit here as, sports podcast hosts, 18 years in the industry, Nick and his 8+ years in the industry, 10+ years in the industry. How do we, though, as basketball fans, define tanking? There's no clear definition in the dictionary. I'm sorry.
So Mark Cuban wrote a few tweets, and he wrote why the NBA should embrace tanking. The NBA has been misguided thinking that fans want to see their teams compete every night with a chance to win. It's never been that way. When I got into the NBA, they thought they were in the basketball business. They aren't. They are in the business of creating experience for fans. You can remember the score from the last game they saw or went to. They can't remember the dunks or shots. What they remember is who they are with, their family, friends, a date, etc. That's what makes the difference special. Fans know their team can't win every game. They know only one team can win a ring. What fan that cares about their team's record want is hope. Hope they will get better and have a chance to compete for the playoffs and then maybe a ring. The one way to get closer to that is via the draft and trades and cap room. You have a better chance of improving via all three when you tank. We didn't tank often, only a few times over 23 years. But when we did, our fans appreciated it, and it got us to where we could improve, trade up to get Luka and improve our team. The NBA should worry more about fan experience than tanking. It should worry more about pricing fans out of games than tanking. You know who cares the least about tanking? A parent who can't afford to bring their 3 kids to a game and buy their kids a jersey of their favorite player. Tanking isn't the issue. Affordability and quality of the game presentation are.
And I went to that NBA game for $25 at Intuit Dome.
See, I don't agree with that full statement he made. Like, I know what he means. He's saying that you're basically doing it for the business of sports, that sometimes you just have to be bad to rebuild to be good. But that's the whole rebuilding theory we talk about in sports, where
my main thing, though, Nick, is who the heck told Bobby Marks that they're willing to pay the fine? That's more of my thing, is that who out here is blatantly admitting it like Cuban did on Twitter?
Well, that's what I said to you a couple nights ago. I said, and first of all, you notice the source is not coming out because they probably said that in confidence. Don't repeat my name or my source. If I'm the NBA and I'm Adam Silver,
you're snuffing this out one way or another, come hell or high water.
Yeah, I would. First of all, I would find out who said it, why they said it, what's the motive or the prerogative behind it, and say, look, if you do it again, we're not allowing you to have any draft picks in the next draft. I would go that harsh on whoever made that call. But for Mark to, first of all, we all know Cuban's going to get fined for this, probably, now that he's admitted that he's tanked. But I guess what he means is he's already admitted that he's been fined $1.2 million. So
Right.
they might not fine him again, but it looks bad for the NBA. And that goes back to the point of what that unnamed GM said to Bobby Marks, that they're willing to pay the fines and they don't give two shits whether what the money is, because they're going to get that top guy and make that money back probably anyway.
Correct.
So I don't know what the answer is. And a lot of people went after Cuban on Twitter, and
I mean, how am I not surprised? I mean, the grass is green,
But you
sky's
know
blue,
what?
water's wet.
But you know what, though? I give him a lot of credit because he was responding
He admitted
back.
it. He put
No,
his
but he-
name on it.
But he responded back and gave some logical reasoning to some of it. And he also wrote, a team is only going to tank if they aren't very good to begin with. The players that are on the court are going to play harder because they have the most to prove and want to earn a contract. He's not wrong about that.
Yeah, and that kind of went to a DMARC point that, players and coaches can't afford to tank because they're auditioning for a new role somewhere else, maybe with a different organization.
The difference is Mark is a very smart numbers guy when it comes to the business. He knows the NBA. He's not just a business guy. He knows the ins and outs of understanding statistics and all this stuff. So he's a much more prepared NBA owner than most are. Most of the owners, like, I wonder if they even give two craps about basketball when it comes to running the team.
Yeah, and that's my concern a lot, though, in sports, Nick, is a lot of them, and that kind of in a way goes to like my own thoughts about the Padres. We'll talk about them a bit later in hour 2 of the program about the AJ Preller extension while the Padres are currently for sale. That was kind of been my concern, though, a little bit with any team that gets sold, is the new person in charge going to actually put their time, effort, energy, blood, sweat, and tears to make the team better? Or is it just simply a damn tax write-off come April 15th on tax day?
Well, why do you think they put things into 10 million different LLC accounts? Because they want to get as many tax breaks as they possibly can as an owner of an NBA franchise. I mean, heck, look what we're talking about in the time of aspiration with the
Right.
Clippers. How we found out there was like 5 or 6 shell companies they were using to hide the money for Kawhi Leonard, which is now being snuffed out. And apparently the NBA allegedly was getting a price check into that money, or his uncle was being paid under the table to.
What else is new with that?
So I do agree with one part where he said the fans are priced out
They are.
in some aspect. Now, the tickets you're finding, that's a different scenario where you're looking. I don't know where you look to buy tickets usually.
I got them through the Intuit Dome app and through Ticketmaster for that game I went to.
Some of these games, like the tickets are outrageous. Like
I'm gonna
When
go
I-
check and I'm gonna go check and see what they look like for the upcoming week.
But like I've gone to the Barclays Center, I've gone to Madison Square Garden, 2 of the biggest meccas in the NBA. The prices are $100 to $200 a seat. Like-
So by the way, for one ticket for tomorrow's Clippers game at Intuit Dome versus Denver, upper level section 4, row 12, $41.
That's a lot for an upper deck seat. No?
Lakers Clippers on Friday at crypto.com arena. 154 for the club level.
So that's not an average seat though.
Clippers Magic on Sunday for a James Harden bobblehead giveaway, though he's no longer with the franchise. $30 for the upper level.
That's not terrible. I mean,
But now let's go from the Clippers and let's go to the Lakers.
right.
So Sunday, the Lakers play the Celtics at 3:30 Pacific time at Crypto. For one ticket in the upper level, it'll cost you $164 for one ticket.
That's ridiculous. That's insane.
Yeah, and the game that I'm looking at going to with a couple of friends on Tuesday versus Orlando for 2 tickets, because I need to get one for my friend, obviously. For 2 tickets, though, $87 a piece.
It's a lot. The average person can't afford tickets to go to a game.
To park at the game, it's $45.
That's the issue. You want to talk about issues with tickets?
It cost me $45 to park at Intuit Dome for that game against Philadelphia.
It costs you an
Parking
arm.
was more than the ticket.
it costs you an arm and a leg and a torso to park
Yes.
at a game.
And your left arm and left rib cage. Yes.
So again, how do you fix tanking? I have no idea. I don't know how you fix this. And I give credit to Mark Cuban for admitting that he got fined $1.2 million for being caught tanking. By the way, those rumors were proven false, by the way, that the Adelson ownership was supposedly selling because of the casino issues in Texas. But I'll believe. I think something's going to happen there.
I'll believe that when I see it. With that in mind, though, Nick, hour 2, time to welcome on a couple of hard-hitting guests to the program. That is correct, folks. We are staying in-house today for our interview guestees today. Tom Albano, Zan Bando are now joining us here from our ever-popular MMA show called the MMA Outsiders here on ETB. Mr. Bando, Mr. Albano, the Albano and Bando tag team is in the house. Gentlemen, good to see you. How are we doing today?
Hey, guys. All right. How are you?
So, obviously, the massive fight out of the blue, unless you knew something about it that we didn't know. This came way out of the blue. And obviously, the fight we're talking about is Rousey and Carano, which was announced for Netflix. I think we need to start the timeline back to 2014 because this was supposed to be a super fight back in 2014, and one phone call from Dana White using a certain word to Gina Carano ended the contract negotiations. So, guys, why don't you start there and kind of talk that timeline, because I think that's important.
I think we're missing something else here. Actually, the timeline doesn't even go back to 2014. It goes back to 2009. I can see. It was around late 2008, early 2009. Elite XC had just fallen. That was the promotion where Kimbo Slice first earned his name after the street fight fixing allegations, and that whole promotion falls. Gina Carano was a very notable name in that promotion, and she is given basically a choice to either go to Strikeforce, because Scott Coker's just said putting up Strikeforce, and do a super fight with Chris Cyborg. There is, as Ariel Helwani mentioned a couple of days ago, there was another offer on that table, and that was for Gina Carano to not join the UFC, but join a promotion called World Extreme Cage Fighting. And for those who are not familiar with World Extreme Cage Fighting, it was a promotion during the early 2000s, mid to late 2000s, early 2010s. Zuffa ended up buying it, and for a time, they were run as two separate promotions. And that promotion, after Zuffa's purchase, was more focused on, I guess it would be experimental things for the UFC, more lighter weight classes like lightweight, featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight. There was an offer on the table for Gina Carano to join that promotion and to do the women's MMA experiment, predecessor, if you will, to the UFC within the WEC. Now she ends up taking the fight with Chris Cyborg, and there was no blame on her for doing that. That was the choice, but ends up getting knocked out in the first round, and that's basically the end of her MMA career. 2014, at that point, Ronda Rousey has become a household name. At that point, Ronda Rousey has become the superstar that she was known to be. And phone call comes in about Gina Carano and Dana White and the Fertittas have a little discussion about potentially doing Carano versus Rousey, because while Carano had been out of action for about 5 years at that point, she was still the one of, if not the biggest name outside of Ronda Rousey in the world of women's MMA. Negotiations are getting to a point, and then, as you mentioned, Nick, it was a text message that was sent to Gina Carano's phone, because Gina Carano and her team had asked for some time. It seemed like Dana White wanted to get the fight ASAP. Carano wanted a full fight camp, get a team together, get a full training camp with preparations together, and to do the fight 5-6 months down the line. Well, then the text message gets sent, where the text message implied that Gina Carano was being a B word in terms of the trying to get the fight to work. Gina actually responded to it and was like, I think you sent this to the wrong person. And Dana was like, no. which Dana White apologized for 3 years later. But at that point, the book was
Damage had
shut.
already been done.
Yep.
Wow. Zan, I guess I'll ask you on this front. So I feel like Dana has foot and mouth syndrome, as Tom and I used to like to talk about all the time. How would you have seen the timeline differently if that had not happened that way compared to now?
I think it would still be considered, had that fight happened in 2014, I still think people would be talking about it as the biggest fight to ever take place in the history of women's MMA. That's what I think. I think it would have been one of those fights where people remembered where they were when they saw it. They would have remembered the build up to it. They would have remembered what happened during the fight. They would have remembered what happened after the fight. And we probably would be sitting here today talking about, oh, that was a great rivalry. They fought a couple times, and it kind of started their trajectory of their eventual legacies. Well, what ended up happening was Ronda ended up becoming the UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion and the most successful champion to that point at the time, because she basically kickstarted the division and didn't really have a true rival until, unfortunately, she lost her first fight in her eventual second fight, and then no one ever heard from her again. I can almost guarantee you that her career could have gone a little bit differently had the fight took place. Is it awkward that the fight is taking place now? Yeah, and I discussed this more on Banda's Breakdowns, which is coming out later this week. That I think that I think there's some underlying fishiness here going on a little bit. I'm obviously excited to see how the fight plays out, but there's so many questions going into it that I'm almost concerned that the fight even happens or not. So we'll see sort of how it transpires, but it's clear that Netflix is putting out all the stops. It's clear that they're trying to push this as much as they can. ESPN is already obviously involved in it with Ronda's Sports Center appearance yesterday. And, a lot of people are now debating as to whether it's going to be the most watched MMA fight of the year on the heels of a UFC White House card that doesn't still have an official main event announced. So I think there's a lot of questions overall surrounding the fight. And I think it's cool to take a 10,000-foot view, because it's not only a blast from the past, but they're doing so in such a media era where everything is so instant now and everything is so readily accessible, to where if this fight happened 10, 13, 15 years ago, it would have been a pay-per-view that you would have had to spend $85 for. Now you can just pull it up with your Netflix subscription and it's no big deal. It's very, very fascinating to kind of take a look at it from a big picture standpoint.
With that, guys, Christy Wilson wrote in, though, and I can kind of test this a little bit, though. Gina Carano was making a name for herself in Hollywood when the fight was with Rousey was offered, if she's correct. Obviously, I know a bit more probably of her 2-season run on The Mandalorian on Disney Plus before she was canned for COVID-19 vaccination theories and not getting vaxxed, pulling an Aaron Rodgers essentially with how it went, though. And she obviously had to file a lawsuit and had to also settle out of court with that. And she was also in Fast and Furious. I think a lot of people, though, too, might remember her being on the revive of American Gladiators at one point on NBC back in the early 2000s and or late 2000s. She also was a 7-episode trainer for a Oxygen reality series called Fight Girls, where they literally would take Americans and send them over to Thailand to go and do Muay Thai boxing and plus video games. So, I mean, she already kind of had a good little cushy job away from that. Until the COVID stuff happened with the Disney studios. But, Tom, it's been practically a decade for Rousey and 17 now for Gina. So 27 combined years that both these ladies have been away from the cage. Yep. Obviously, we had Ronda with the WWE stint and what happened there. Obviously, Gina's been away for 17 years. But, Tom, in your eyes, though, is this a legitimate competitive matchup of two pretty much washed veteran fighters, or more of the spectacle that Netflix wants, designed to capture nostalgia rather than actually watching these two fighters in their prime?
I think it's a mix of both. And I think it's the question, you're focusing on the Netflix. The question is, I think these questions should more surround Jake Paul, MVP Promotions, because technically they are the promoter. And obviously MVP Promotions and Jake Paul.
Don't worry. I was going to ask that. I was going to ask that to Zan in a few minutes.
Okay.
Sure thing.
Okay, but I think him and I are going to have a similar kind of answer because Netflix and MVP are kind of together on this. It is a big partnership.
They're a partnership.
They are.
Correct. And I think, for the sake of their first dive into mixed martial arts, you do need to have maybe a little bit of the big name, especially if they want to be on the level that they're looking to be. They're looking to be on the level, we think, of the UFC, PFL, along those lines. I guess my question is going to be just a matter of, and we've talked about this a number of times, when you're talking about the ideas in the past of pay-per-view, like Nick, when we were talking about classic UFC cards or with May Mac, what is your undercard? You're not just doing this for, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are going to be your names, but you also need to be promoting the future and what you can provide that is different from the UFC. The UFC claims that they don't like to do spectacle, but we have seen in the past them dip their toes into the spectacle realm. But to their point also, if MVP promotions in MMA is going to be a thing, they need to sign MMA fighters and they need to
just need to sign MMA fighters. They need to at least make a push or a pull rather to sign veteran fighters that people have heard of.
But that's going to be my question, because who is available? There are a lot of fighters right now that are tied up to either the UFC, to PFL. I guess you can say one championship, even though that their stint with MMA is basically, as far as I'm concerned, done at this point. So who is available for you to take on for MVP promotions rather to take on is going to be the question.
Yeah, but to say they're not doing spectacle, I mean, we can go all the way back to Floyd and Connor if you really want to talk about spectacle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and they picked the perfect arena for the spectacle of it being Intuit Dome in Inglewood, who just had the NBA All-Star game.
Well, that's because that's their first time doing an event there. This is the first time that MVP is doing their first MMA promotion in a hexagon, trying to figure that one out.
Well, they can't do the octagon because that's copyrighted.
Is it actually copyrighted? I didn't know that.
Nope.
I thought that was just
no. What? You can an MMA promotion cannot use because the UFC is copyrighted.
Wow. I learned something. I guess the question I have is for either. Is this coincidence, you think, that it's MVP promotion, it's Jake Paul versus Dana White, the whole pop-up circumstance, or did Ronda want nothing to do with Dana? Was that ever a conversation for this to be UFC?
Okay, so I guess this goes back to this goes back to something that I said in our group chat not a little while ago, but like yesterday. The idea that, Gina Carano and Dana obviously had their history. Things are a little more neutral than they were, but of course the B-word comment ruined everything. Jake and Dana, if we're talking about Logan Paul and Dana White, they like one another. If we're talking about Jake Paul and Dana White, they're bitter.
They don't like each other. No.
Bitter bad blood. The thing that makes it interesting is that, and Ariel Helwani talked about this a couple of days ago too in his report, the bond between Ronda Rousey and Dana White, as far as everyone knows, is still fine.
Extremely public and very well centered for the most part, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just a matter of forward-thinking UFC doesn't want to focus on this kind of fight. And as I said earlier, when you're talking about trying to make a splash in the MMA world and you're talking about being on Netflix and you're trying to talk about to appeal to the masses, especially in a day and age where everyone has, or mostly everyone has Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount, you want the name value there at the top of the card. And Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are two names, as much as they haven't fought in a decade plus each, that are available right now.
But is it mostly for name and not for skill?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Netflix would not be putting this fight on if the names weren't recognizable enough. There's
no offense to these two, because I absolutely love these two. I don't know if Netflix is going to go for something like a Shane Burgos versus Jeremy Stevens as your MVP Promotions MMA 1 main event versus something like Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano.
Or what about a McGregor Poirier like chapter 50, for example?
That would be funny, that's for sure.
Well, until Conor gets out of his UFC contract, that's not happening.
That's a whole other issue in itself.
So
yeah, I mean,
good.
I mean, so Zan, I was going to pose that question because Tom kind of was going down the rabbit hole, but with MVP behind the card, though, at Intuit Dome on May 16th, is the influencer model of promotion officially the new home for legends like Carano and Rousey?
100%.
Oh, I mean, or are they seeking like one last massive payday outside of this pay structure from UFC? Because I know that you guys talk a lot about how the pay structure in UFC is god-awful and atrocious.
No, this is 100% an influencer-driven decision. This again, as I alluded to a minute ago, this would not be happening if it wasn't for the names on the front of the poster or the names in the lead of the video, if you will. This is clearly to me a nostalgia play to where if you're an MMA consumer of a certain age, you remember when these two were in their prime, and it's also like, okay, this is a fight that people wanted to see for a long time. It seems that they're both interested in it. A lot of people aren't going to support the fight for one reason or another. I'm not really sure how to feel about the fight, but what I can tell you is this: tons of people that haven't watched a fight in maybe 8 to 10 years are only going to come back and watch this fight because they remember one of the two names on the front of the poster. So,
and it's also going to be a matter of, like I said, it's not just enough for them to have the names on the promotion. Like if this is going to be a one and done MMA event, then whatever. But if you're looking to make a splash, I've already said this, but still, then you're going to want to showcase how you can be an alternative product because,
right.
No disrespect to my friends over at the PFL, but the PFL they are a number 2 promotion, but the distance between 1 and 2
is pretty massive.
It's an infinity gap. Let's put it that way. I guess the one thing is, because you said whether this could be a one or done, is this truly a one or done? Or I guess maybe to go back and ask something first.
For sure.
Why for Ronda? I guess is the question I have. Why now?
Fair.
Why
Fair.
come back? She doesn't need money. I think she's well off. It's not like, is this a pride thing? What is this?
You want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Zin.
You go first.
So I think, and this is something I don't know if this has ever been spoken about, so I'm just going to say this. I think it took her a long time to get over losing to Nunes in the way that she did, and she didn't handle it well, especially with the whole Ellen situation and all that. And I think she's doing this as an apology to all those people that didn't think after she lost that fight that she was ever going to be the same again. So now this is not only a validation for all of those people, it's a validation for her that if this is truly her final fight, she can go out on top and rewrite a horrible wrong that happened nearly 10 years ago in Las Vegas and do so in a city that she knows very well, considering that it's the same city in which she won her UFC bantamweight title all those years ago, almost like a full circle type moment. So,
I mean, the one thing that bothered me after that fight, and I remember it still to this day, the way she acted in the media afterwards, admitting that she didn't lose the fight, which I thought was kind of ridiculous, by the way.
Actually, on that note, just to point out a comment, even Christy is mentioning that she even hated losing on the WWE stage, and that's a scripted environment.
Right, and I totally get that because she's a competitor, a very aggressive competitor. But I don't know. I didn't like the way she handled the media afterwards, and I think people attacked her, if I remember correctly, after an interview she gave, saying that she made excuses for why she lost the fight. She was going through something.
Well,
physical.
here's one question that I have about this fight. It's just making my eyebrow raise and has made it raise since a couple of days ago. All these interviews that she's done over the last decade, and the books that she writes, where she talks about the number of concussions that she's had since her Olympic judo days.
Yes.
And they're gonna
which were over 15 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, it's over 15 years ago, but still the number that she ended up getting. and the California State Athletic Commission is going to clear her for full-fledged MMA.
I don't. There's something up about that. Now, we've heard of corruption and stuff behind the scenes in promotions or any sport before. So I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying, but they want this fight bad. I mean, we've seen Dana White push fights through sanctioning to get if he wanted them that
We've
bad.
seen Dana White literally lift the whole event and moved it to another state. With
That's
John
my point.
Jones.
No, exactly right. That's my point. And think about it. Didn't they have to go through an arm and a leg just to get the McGregor-Mayweather fight off the ground for sanctioning and all that stuff, or no?
Not really. I mean, once they made those negotiations finalized, it was pretty clear where that fight was going to be, I think.
Nick, that was more Dana White and Steven Espinoza being hard asses with one another.
Well, but they still had, because it wasn't a direct MMA, it was a cross. So didn't they have to have...
And there's one thing that Dana White hates, it's doing cross promotion.
I mean...
So he insisted, just to give you guys a little bit of an inside baseball reference, he insisted that Showtime do the production for the event, and that's what they agreed upon.
Yeah, but didn't that kind of cost Conor in a way? Because Floyd walked away with way more money than Conor did in that fight.
It may have cost him, but it set himself up to never have to worry about finances.
No, I get that. I know Conor made $100 million. I know Floyd made close to $300 million off that fight. And I said to Callan the other day when we were discussing the fight, you will never see a fight like that ever again.
No, hell
ever.
no.
Right? That'll never happen again. You're never going to see a crossover like that, right?
I don't think so. Tom, what do you think?
So I don't think so. And I
could definitely see a Jake Paul versus Floyd Mayweather fight for like $1 billion prize. Give me a break.
Okay, but the difference between that, Callan, is I don't think you're going to see Dana White do cross promotion ever again, because he's not going to risk his fighters losing to another fighter whether it be another discipline, another sport, whether it be MMA. He's not going to risk that.
No, and he's already seen it twice. He sent Chuck Liddell over to Japan. He didn't win in the pro tournament, and he sent Conor McGregor over into boxing, and he didn't beat Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
He's technically 0-2 in cross-promotional fights.
But there was so much attention and money involved at that point with the McGregor Floyd. I think he did that more to put the promotion on the map.
But here's the thing. We're talking about, guys, a couple of different eras of the UFC, because this is the other thing I mentioned. You know, could you say the UFC is foolish for not trying to bring Ronda back and doing this kind of fight in the first place? Maybe, but you know what? This past summer, they got 7.7 billion reasons why they don't have to worry about trying to make a superstar to that level ever again.
Well, and they don't have to worry about pay-per-views anymore. But
that's what I mean. Especially because the first, I don't know, Zan, if you remember the specific number, but there were a lot of people who tuned into that UFC 324 card. It was like the most watched numbered card. The most watched numbered card.
It was somewhere around like 5.4 was the number, I think. 5.7, something like that.
It was the most watched number card at minimum since the McGregor-Poirier 3 fight, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So they had 7.7, almost 7.2 million global households watching that card, UFC 324. So, wow. That was a good card.
Which is unbelievable, considering that a interim title fight was the main event of that card, and still over 7 million people streamed it. So
because now you have the accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because you can just go onto your Paramount app. You don't need 3 levels just to watch the damn fight out of ESPN Plus.
So, Callan, I have a question for you. This may take you back a little bit. Do you remember where you were for Mayweather McGregor? Did you watch that fight? Do you remember?
I was at home. I was at home doing something else.
Okay.
I was watching. I was watching it. I remember for sure.
I was getting updates on ESPN.com about how, and I think the parting shot was Floyd sitting on the stool in the corner, looking at the camera and having this big old smile on his face, like, you know, he was enjoying, you know, beating McGregor at his own game.
Tom, do you remember watching the fight and where you watched it?
Yeah, I was at home here covering the fight.
Oh, that's right. You were covering the fight. I remember that.
No way. This was in your early stint, right?
Yes.
This is when you had just started.
Yeah, there's I had just eclipsed a year. I was like 13 months into the industry at that point.
No way.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
was
it
a
was
big deal.
Yeah, it was 2 years before I got into it. I was a full-fledged fan back then. It was only 17, and I remember I had like 100 people over at my house for it, and it was cool. I was one of the few people that didn't have pay-per-view ordering issues, which most of the country had.
Well, no, or you just do what most of us did, where I found the fight somewhere, someone streaming it, and I just watched it.
Tom, did you pay for it? I'm sure you paid for it, right?
Yes. Yep.
Did it work or no?
Yep.
Remember?
It worked for me.
Didn't Dana complain after the fight that the amount of what's it called, pirating
That
went
was
to?
back when Periscope was a big deal.
Oh,
Periscope
geez.
had like
That
thousands of
Periscope
streams
era.
for
Goodness
it.
gracious.
No, but this wasn't just Periscope. People were like pirating, or some people were buying it and then putting it up. Well, on that site that is not allowed to be mentioned anymore because it got taken down. Stream East, anyway. But
It was back in the days when another site that starts with an F and an R was really popular too.
yeah, that too. Mhm. That too. I don't know. I guess I'm
But
still,
the thing I was going to, by the way, was just that Ronda Rousey is one of only a select few in the UFC, the handful of fighters that have been headliners for pay-per-views that have had million-plus purchases. It's Conor, it's Ronda. Well, it would be Khabib by default because Conor Khabib was the highest selling
yes.
pay. Oh, what?
yeah, could
Yes, correct. And when you have
Brock
to throw in
Lesnar.
Chuck versus Tito,
Oh, Brock Lesnar, yeah.
too, right? Wasn't
Chuck
that-
and Tito, yeah. Brock Lesnar.
Mhm.
I guess I'm. I guess I'm.
That's an F5.
Well, wait.
Lesnar Couture and Lesnar Mirror too, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
I guess I'm still not understanding though the Ronda logic of this fight though, and I don't think I will because again, what is her incentive to fight? I understand you said it's because she was upset maybe because of the way it was handled. She doesn't have to fight. And by the way, she embarrassed herself in her last fight.
She really did.
Well, that's
I mean-
why Zan was going to the redemption arc kind
Yeah.
of story.
Yeah, the redemption
My
arc is a
question
good thing.
my question is, and Jack kind of implied it in Outsiders group chat.
In our chat, yeah.
I'm a little concerned about this fight happening and that both of these ladies make it to the fight, make the 145-pound limit, and go through the training camp because it's been a decade plus since either of these two have had to do that. Now I know
And that was going to lead me, Tom, to, I didn't mean to interject, but that was going to lead me to a point, though, is my concern, as I read, though, at the top of the segment here with Tom Albano, Zan Bando from the MMA Outsiders here on ETB. My concern, though, as we have, in a way, talked about in spurts here during the course of our segment here, is the fact, again, that it's been over a decade for Ronda and 17 for Gina Carano. So 27 combined years of missed time. Even I know as a literal outsider of the MMA world, because I don't really care to watch MMA or combat sports usually, though obviously hockey's one thing. But I don't really watch it a lot. But I don't really watch it because usually when the cards are on, I'm at work usually, around the same time that all the events are going on. But I do know that there's a thing, though, of having followed fighters on Instagram. There's a thing called ring rust. And I'm wondering how much, though, Tom and Zan, would that catch up, though, to both of these women who, again, have been gone for a combined 27 years away from the cage or the ring?
I mean, yes, but at that point, it's also going to be neutralized because both of them are going to have rust on them.
Right, and also, I don't think we'll truly know who has more ring rust or even an identical amount. Jeez, can I speak? We won't know. We won't know who really has true ring rust until the week of the weigh-ins, if the weigh-ins actually happen.
I think I'm just going to take a guess on my part, Zan. I'm going to say Carano because one, longer amount of time, closer to 2 decades, and two, it feels cheap to say because 2 different industries, but at least you can say Ronda has had to use her athleticism within the last decade
in multiple disciplines
because of her time with the WWE, the 2 stints that she's
Where
had.
Carano has only been doing Hollywood stuff, as Christy wrote earlier in the segment.
Exactly.
But what has Ronda been doing? Ronda hasn't been doing much. Has she?
I just said WWE stints.
There's been training.
okay.
There's been training videos that have come out to of her hitting pads and of like that. So she's
That's what I
starting
meant.
to fully
Yeah.
get back into it.
I didn't
Yeah.
mean. I meant from a competitive standpoint. but-
Okay, yeah, but like I said, I question everything with Carano because, as Callan mentioned, as Christy mentioned, Carano's been in Hollywood for most
Yeah.
of this time.
So I guess the great follow up to this would be if and when Ronda were to lose again, because I have a feeling I think Ronda's going to lose this fight.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think so. I think Ronda easily beats Carano, and
Yeah, no, but I think Rozzy completely
it's
dominated.
not even. It's
To
not
be,
even
and,
close.
Dan, to be honest, to something that you said, even if they fought in UFC in 2014, 2015, I still think Ronda would have dominated her.
Oh,
But I
100%.
think Ronda still would have been in her fight mode in 2014.
It'd
but-
be over
Correct,
in
but at
40
that
seconds.
point-
Everyone pisses away all the money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have more faith in Carano because again, I feel like Ronda gets built up massively, and then like all the attention, and then she just fades under the pressure. I feel like.
So, just really quick, I have one final question. Excluding us bottom two from this conversation, will either of you watch the fight
Oh,
as soon
I
as
will.
it happens on May 16th?
Oh, I love Ronda fights. I definitely.
I will be out celebrating my 32nd birthday at a soccer match at 6:30 Pacific.
Damn it!
Sounds fun.
Well, here's my question. And I asked you it, Zen, and trying to figure out off the record stuff and Slay Matchbooker. Do you think that you fully expect that Dana White and the UFC are going to counter program, right?
Well, they have to.
1000%. And they have to either counter program with a fight night, or they sneak in a pay per view that it is currently not on the books, but nobody's talking about.
Okay, so then I'll ask you, who do you think ends up on this? Because like you said, it can't be one fight.
I think it's got to be future talent to show who's in the pipeline.
Agreed.
But they got to put one big name under it. They can't just put.
What if
I mean,
they
I would
put-
think they would. It's just a matter of who, but also you need to start showcasing the future of the sport.
What if they put Tyron Woodley on this card, considering that he's been a part of MVP for a bit now?
Yeah, I don't think Tyron Woodley signed to PFL, so I could see him. I think Shane Burgos isn't signed to PFL anymore. I'd be interested in seeing him again.
No, he isn't. He is not.
That Zen, tell me if you could picture this, because
Okay.
he always seems to be on every non-UFC. He was in the UFC in the past, but even at a time after UFC, he's always made his way to every non-UFC thing. He was even on the Golden Boy MMA show. Filthy Tom Lawler.
Oh, I could see it. I could see him opening the show. So we'll see
How many fights do you think will be on this card?
7 or 8.
I'd say 8 to 10.
Oh God, does that mean it's going to take like 6-7 hours to get through it?
Oh no, it's going to be over at like 11 o'clock Pacific time.
And then another
again.
question is, who in the world would be the broadcast team for it? My guess would be they would bring Mauro Ranallo back to do it.
Unless they're gonna get Joe Tessitore to do it.
Which I don't know how that would dampen his relationship with
Oh
Zuffa
no,
Boxing.
not Joe Tessitore. Todd Grisham.
Yeah, you're right.
I
Good
love
point.
Grisham.
God, I haven't heard that name in ages. Well,
I mean, well, he was doing what, Glory Kickboxing before the promo went underneath.
He was, and he was doing a great job.
Calvin,
And Todd Grisham did the Golden Boy MMA card too.
Yes,
That's
I remember
right.
him
I
doing
do
that.
remember that.
Morrow, I definitely would like to see. He hasn't really been seen much since
With 2018.
since the end of Bellator, basically.
Oh right, yeah. Oh right,
Wait,
because the
didn't
last
Morrow-
Bellator I ever went to was the last Bellator he called. Yeah.
But then didn't more? Yeah, he is an excellent.
He's
Did-
great.
Didn't he call what? Oh, Paul Joshua in December.
He did, yeah. He did.
Okay, so maybe they go with Morrow then.
Mm-hmm. Given that it is a Netflix special attraction. So
Got
Put Morrow at the play-by-play and put Todd Grisham at the studio behind the desk or whatever.
yeah, and then Ariel is going to be doing the post-fight interviews, I think, because
Yep.
he's doing the.
I was just going to ask, do you think Ariel's going to be an instigator during the press conference when they?
Oh,
when they-
100%.
I mean, I like him I only like him when he does the instigator during the press conference. It's a show I can take or leave at this point.
The face-off between those two is going to be super awkward, I think. I don't know. it's gonna be weird
Between the two of them, or are you talking about Ariel and somebody else?
between Rhonda and
Gina.
Carano. It's gonna be weird.
I don't know. Does Ariel have a relationship with Rhonda at all, or any? Or...
Well, they used to not like each other. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like a decade ago that they couldn't stand each other? Right?
Yeah.
Carano was on a show back in what 2019 or something. I thought I read.
And then last year too.
So
I think.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Cowan, anything else left to?
We're tapping out. We're good.
I see what you did there. All right, we got to move on. So, guys,
Thanks
you
for having us on.
So
Make sure you folks tune in and catch the fellas Thursday afternoon.
yeah, Thursday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. MMA Outsiders, and then Tom will be doing the pay-per-view post show on the 7th.
Yep.
For 320. So
That one I might actually be able to join you on because I don't think I've been assigned to it. So I actually might be able to scoot on over to that. It should be fun.
you're not assigned to a fight?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
What? Because they already have a Vegas writer taking care of it because the show is at T-Mobile Arena. That's it.
How the hell does the great Zan Bando not get a credential?
I don't
Well,
know. It's a good,
Or at least cover a fight.
Who do
It's
we
a
have to
good-
sue?
It's a good question. I don't know.
All right, guys. We'll see you around.
Thank you, boys. We'll see you next
Having
time.
us, guys.
Have a
Okay.
good one.
See ya.
All right.
All right.
Zan Bando, Tom Albano heading off screen after, again, Nick, probably I'd say, other than MVP's first real dabble in MMA, though, kind of in a way, maybe a bittersweet retirement party for Rousey and Carano come May 16th.
Yeah, we'll see what happened. But by the way,
Oh, no.
so some NFL news, unfortunately. An ex-girlfriend of Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice has filed a civil suit in Texas alleging he repeatedly assaulted her during an 18-month span from 2023 to 2005. Dakota Jones, who said she was pregnant during many of the alleged assaults, is seeking more than $1 million.
Can that man, not stay out of trouble?
He was the one that had the speeding incident, right?
Yes. Literally, a few months after Henry Ruggs did what he did in Vegas with the Raiders?
Well, he killed somebody. I mean, not that I'm saying speed racing is... Don't speed race. Don't. Not safe. Don't do it. But abusing a pregnant woman, if that's true... I mean, what did the NFL is like the poster child? It seems like for domestic violence, unfortunately.
Sadly, they are.
But no, we'll see what happens with the Ronda fight. I think Carano's going to win, but they might be right. Maybe because Carano's been away for 17 years as opposed to Ronda for 10. But I guess we'll see what happens.
The Chiefs should cut him loose.
It depends how invested they are in him.
Yeah. Who knows? All right, Nick, back to all things baseball again. We kind of talked a bit late last night about this, but baseball now is reportedly withholding central revenue from all 30 franchises to build what they're calling the war chest for the potential 2026 lockout. We are projecting via Google Gemini perhaps $2.25 billion is being put into this chest, though, for the potential lockout. On the contrary, though, Nick, the league announced a 9-second delay now for strike zone graphics on Clubhouse televisions to stop teams from exploiting the broadcast for real-time ABS or automated balls and strike challenges this season. So, Nick, between both withholding the money and censoring the Clubhouse feeds, is baseball essentially now putting the teams and players on labor lockdown before the season even begins in late March?
Look at all the failure.
I mean, we knew that already.
I mean, if you're making an MLB war chest, which is the report that you're saying is out there, you're basically anticipating a lockout coming.
What do you know that we don't know?
Yeah. Now, when you read the reports and said they were doing it over the last 5 years.
Yeah, let me go and re-pull that up again.
Which, did someone have a crystal ball? And did they have the lottery numbers? Because I want them. But
do they have the World Series and Stanley Cup winners for the upcoming season, or who wins MLS Cup in 2026? I'd like to know.
I'm in. But I don't know. And of course, they're going to come out and say, "Oh, well, this is precautionary tale. We need to put money to the side so that we all don't go broke. And I'm like, give me a break.
So again, Nick, we talked though, and we ran through this pretty much in a few prompts though, but what does the actual war chest look like? So for those who are wondering, this is again all speculation right now, courtesy of Google Gemini.
We have no idea officially.
Yeah, no one has any idea what we're trying to at least get a bit of a grasp about what actually all this is coming from. So the owners' war chest is projected to be $2.25 billion, with recent reports indicating that Major League Baseball has been quietly stockpiling funds they've been quietly stockpiling funds for the last 5 years, as Nick just mentioned. Baseball has reportedly been withholding portions of national television revenue and licensing fees from each franchise, which is built up at least $75 million per team. So 75 times 30 is about 2.25 roughly at this rate. All 30 teams would create the $2.25 billion reserve. This fund is designed to allow every franchise to withstand the total loss of an entire season without anyone going bankrupt. It also gives the owners leverage by signaling to the players that the league can outweight them in a lockout. On the flip side, the players have their own version of a rainy day fund to ensure that they aren't forced into a bad deal because of missed paychecks. The union has built theirs through license revenue from video games like MLB The Show, trading card sales, and, of course, merchandise sales. Late in 2024, the MLBPA executive board voted to withhold all of it, or all the licensing money, so 100% of all the license money, to bolster their fund for the 26-27 negotiations. And the goal of this is that the money would provide stipends to rank-and-file players who might not have the career earnings of superstars like Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, and would also otherwise feel the financial pressure of a strike much sooner. Now, what else, though? Here, though, Nick, is one thing that we did not get a chance to talk about last night. The role, though, of the pull from all of the luxury tax money that the Dodgers have been spending, the Yankees, and even the Padres. While not a war chest in the sense of a lockout fund, the CBT generates a massive amount of cash that also that the league can also redistribute to its franchises. So, for example, this past season, the league collected just under $403 million in tax from 9 teams, led by the Dodgers with their $169 million bill. The first $3.5 million would go towards player benefits. Then 50% of the remainder goes to player retirement accounts, and 50% would go to a fund for revenue sharing to help the smaller market franchises survive the lockout going forward. So again, Nick, that's where things currently stand, we think, right now with what they're trying to put forth here.
Again, what crystal ball do they have that they knew that this was going to happen 5 years ago? Like, first of all, 2.5 billion or 2.25 billion? That's not going to get all the players through the lockout. Is it? No.
I doubt it.
Also, you're withholding money from players now because they're anticipating a lockout? Both sides, it sounds like they're anticipating a lockout without even giving it a chance.
And
right?
I think, though, but maybe in a very small way. Back to topic 1 from today, though. Now the Players Association and union loses the president or the executive director of their group, and that, in a way, I think further clouds what this might look like.
Just give us the damn lockout already at this point. Like,
okay, Kathy Engelbert.
Well, isn't that where we are at this point with baseball? Like, the Players Association's a garbage dump now because of Tony Clark. We're taking all the license money from the video games and the merch and throwing it into a chest that's probably never going to be seen again. I mean, you have the owners who are basically saying, "Oh, well, we're going to take our money and put it in here for operating expenses." Just announce the lockout. Don't play with here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think that it's only going to get worse before it gets better, Nick. As I've long been saying about the WNBA lockouts, we'll talk about a bit later on in the show, and about the baseball lockout, coming eventually. And you even asked me jokingly late on Wednesday morning, so Callan, what are you going to do though when there's a lockout coming up, when there's going to be no baseball and probably no WNBA, and also that MLS is moving their calendar around from where it's currently at from February through December. They're going to flip it to the winter time though to better align with the European leagues though. There will still be soccer being played in some capacity and things like that, and there's still the NHL and maybe some NBA games or whatnot. But no, it is going to be, though, very much weird about what will happen here. And I mean, I don't know, Nick. I mean, this is only getting worse before it gets better.
I don't know if there's much more I could really say.
No. Any thoughts about them, about the ABS ruling now that all TVs in the clubhouse have to be 9 seconds behind the actual live feed? I mean, nothing new.
So Passon did a story, and it's here on Awful Announcing. So Rich Eisen asked Passon directly whether MLB was altering the strike zone box specifically to prevent teams from exploiting live broadcasts during challenges. Passon said yes, and then explained why the league is going to such lengths. So he goes on to say, quote, "The truth is, this is such a Major League Baseball response. What happened when the Houston Astros and the cheating scandal there, they want to be above board on absolutely everything they can. The changes are more extensive than just removing a graphic." Passon explained that the strike zone box will appear on screen, but the visual distinction between balls and strikes is being eliminated.
I guess that makes sense.
Can we just admit this is a gambling problem? Because that's really where we're at this point. Like,
Gambling, integrity of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Actually, this has to do with your part of the woods,
Oh,
actually.
boy.
Steve Laffin has been dismissed as the San Diego men's basketball coach.
Oh, my God.
The Toreros were 18-47 during Lavin's tenure. I almost said torture. Tenure. And finished last in the WCC last season.
Great.
Oh, shit. That's the
university I work at.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Oh, no. I had a bit of a bad feeling, though, about that. But they won 11 games this year. They were actually like finally turning a corner, it felt like, this year. And Steve brought a lot of really good players in this year that are studs.
Well, that got announced about 35 minutes ago.
Damn. Ouch. Well, that kind of makes work a bit awkward on Saturday for senior night at 6 o'clock Eastern time when I fill in for Alex Miniak on Saturday. Have they announced who the interim head coach will be?
No.
Okay.
Just said that he was relieved of duties.
Yikes. That's unfortunate. I thought that Steve was by the way, real quick, I'll before we get back on track here, because we're going to talk about the Padres in a second. Coach Lavin, great guy. Interact with him on several occasions. I'll tell you what, Nick, you may not have met a nicer guy, and he went out of his way to learn to know your name, put your face to your name, ask you how your day was going. And I actually got to talk to him before a football game, I think, that I was not working because we had a crossover day with volleyball and football, and they welcomed out the men's basketball team. And coach stopped me in the middle of the plaza between the arena and the football stadium. And Steve said, "Hey, Callan, how's it going today? How you been?" I said, "Well, I just got done doing volleyball." He says, Good. I'm glad to hear that." Like he, and that's the thing, I think, Nick, that makes college athletics so special for me is you may not be on the roster. You're not on the coaching staff. You're not a part of the athletic department. You're a freelancer coming in to do a job, to be the voice of the arena and of the game. And I think I've in the 6 years since COVID hit, that this was a thing that myself and DJ Sean and Nichols of the Bucks have long lived by this creed in a way, because, and I'll document this though too on Small Market Edition in March, around the time where COVID stopped the season 6 years ago, is that I think, Nick, for the longest time, you only heard the PA announcer. You never knew them personally. You never talked to them or stuff like that. And I think that when COVID hit, and I, was making that trip like you were, for example, going on an empty train into New York or up to Irvine, California to go and do our job, as you were saying, do your job or you get fired, basically. And when I'm sitting in that empty arena, looking at an empty seating bowl with cardboard cutouts of people's dogs and fans and season seat holders who paid the $30 to donate to the foundation for the franchise to have a cutout there so the guys had something to look at. And, colleagues of mine are 6 feet away from me and I can't really talk to them and stuff like that, that when fans begin to come back to games in 21-22, the job of in-game entertainment, game day operations, the PA announcer, the DJ, the in-game host, all the people I work with, and all the people I work with, as I will be at work tonight for a Gulls game versus San Jose, that I think the fans now began to appreciate the job more. The players began to appreciate the job more, the coaching staff, and Steve Lavin, Blanche Alverson, Brian Quinn. I could name the entire coaching staff of all 17 programs at USD, Nick. They now go out of their way now to say, how's your day going? How you been? How's the family? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the dog? And they want to like know you more than just you being a member of the table staff for a basketball game. I grew up with the baseball coach at USD because he played with Matt Bush and my older brother at Mission Bay High School. And his director of operations also played, at Mission Bay High here. I know Brian Quinn, who's our men's soccer coach, very well because he played for the Sockers. And I got to work with Quinny during the course of Sockers alumni nights. And Brian goes to every damn game on campus. He is there, walking campus at 6 a.m. for his morning stroll. And Coach Lavin, Nick, made you feel like he was like you were his next door neighbor. And hearing that news, though, obviously, hurts for me to hear that, obviously, during the course of the show today, with it being my university for the last 9 years of working there. So, but, Coach came, tried to do his best to get back into the ball game. But I also kind of, in a way, Nick, sadly think when you've been away from the new college game, and by the way, Steve was a tremendous broadcaster on CBS. He made March very special, though, too. And it sucks to see him, lose the job today. But I think, though, when you're away, though, Nick, nowadays from the college game and you're out of touch with the systems, it's kind of tough to kind of get back on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, you think he's going to get another job? What do you think he's going to do?
He'll go back to TV.
He'd be a great guest for this show.
Yeah. I mean, great insight. And I mean, come on. Nick, he was a broadcaster when one of his offensive sets, and I could say it now, sadly, one of his offensive sets was CBS.
Was it?
Yes.
All right. That's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. All right, now we'll get back on track here, staying in the 619 of San Diego, where the sun's finally poking out after 3 days of rain out here on the West Coast. But, of course, Nick, a very much not really hot commodity, but a very interesting perspective. But, of course, on Monday morning, the Padres gave team GM and president of baseball operations, A.J. Preller, a contract extension, despite, as we all know, the franchise right now is currently being sold, or in the process of being sold to at least one of three potential public bidders. So there has been some new reporting, though, per John Seidler on Monday, that some private ownership that has not been named yet is also in the running, though. But, of course, Joe Lacob, Dan Friedkin, or Jose Feliciano are the three publicly known bidders right now for the Padre franchise who are looking to get a $3 billion price tag for the franchise. But, of course, usually a new ownership group wants to pick out their own staff, including a GM. But, Nick, is the extension a signal, though, that the current ownership believes that Preller is unsackable, or to help bridge the gap between the new owners and the current regime, or a maneuver to drive up the team's value by locking in a proven, if even times aggressive, swing and miss style executive who, again, has taken swing after swing for his whole entire career?
Well, I said to you, I thought this was interesting because you signed the GM, but your ownership is up in the air right now currently, because you're trying to sell the team. Seidler's trying to sell the team, and you have no idea who the owner is, because usually when a new regime comes in, they want to bring in their own GM, they want to bring in their own manager or coach or new front office. But signing the GM before heading out the door, I've never heard that. How does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very much interesting at this rate. I mean, obviously, I think I said my piece on MTGP, maybe on the lounge a little bit on Monday, that that this is the the pat on the back here. Yes, Mr. Small Market, whatever. I could care less. This is the most successful era that the Padres have had in 58 years of being a franchise. Before the last 6 seasons, they only made the playoffs, Nick, 5 times in 45 years. Always in last place. 100-plus lost seasons their first 4 or 5 years out of the gate when they became a major league franchise. And to the degree that I've long been saying, though, is that this has not been seen in this market probably since 96 or 98 with Kevin Towers, or 84 with Jack McKean. And, the fact, though, that I even told you that now Preller is the second longest tenure GM behind Brian Cashman, that's kind of also telling us something, too, I think, in some roundabout way.
By the way, can you talk about that statement from David Sampson? By the way, you and I were talking about.
Oh, the fact that he called
Preller.
That he called Preller a crook and a liar?
Well, because for context's sake, he was talking about changing medical records. Which
So there was and Preller served a suspension for falsifying records either with the Marlins or with the Red Sox for a trade that was being made involving right-hand pitcher Colin Ray that led Preller to, I think, a month-long suspension or a year-long it was a suspension of some type, though. And that kind of went to the point, though, about what Sampson had said about him being, basically, hook or crook, basically.
So he was suspended for 30 days without pay. Let's see. Doesn't say. Oh, it was a July 2016 trade of pitcher Drew Pomerantz to the Red Sox. The investigation was also involved. Investigation also involved the trade with the Marlins for Colin Ray.
That's what it was. Okay. So, and probably because Sampson was working for Miami at the time, it's probably why. And that part I totally understand if that's how he feels.
I mean, I don't know if I would go as far as he did to call him a crook, but at the same time, you realize that's fraud, falsifying a medical record and changing.
Yes.
But people make mistakes. I mean, that's not really a mistake. There was intent if you're changing someone's medical record, but I don't really know. To be honest, there. By the way,
oh no,
this is out of Milan, Cortina.
What do we got?
Sidney Crosby is injured.
Yes, he got checked by Martin Necas and Anaheim Ducks captain Radko Gudas in the 4-3 OT victory for Canada over the Czechs.
So he underwent imaging for severity of his lower body injury. And Coach John Cooper said after the game, I don't even have my poker face on either because I honestly don't know.
If it's a catastrophic injury, Nick, that would be the second NHL player who went overseas to the games and is either done for the year or out for the foreseeable future.
You want my opinion on what I think needs to happen?
No more NHL players go to the Olympics.
Yeah, I think that's done. I think now that we've seen, who was the other major name? Because I did hear
Kevin Fiala of the LA Kings with the Swiss national team who fractured his leg.
Oh, right. You had mentioned that. I think it's done. I think the NHL is seeing that this is not a worthy investment for going to the Olympics, unfortunately. Now, does this have to do with the ice or no?
I don't think so. I think it was just a hockey play that happened and guys got their legs tied up and that's all it was. I mean, this could have happened LA playing Colorado or Pittsburgh playing Colorado or Pittsburgh playing Anaheim.
But I think it's just a risk because you're out of the country and you really don't have any control of this situation going on. And I don't know. I think the NHL they're not going to the Olympics anymore.
I think now they're like, this is not good. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but to the task at hand again, once more with the Preller extension during the sale. Again, there's only been 3 publicly known bidders right now. There's been a lot of, behind closed doors, behind the curtain right now. I mean, if anything, though, Nick, I get the perspective, though, about why you would give him the extension. And it's, again, the franchise, again, just numbers-wise, 4 playoff berths in 6 years. They had back-to-back 90-win seasons in 24 and 25. And as you said, though, their playoff burnout has been a thing, though, in their DNA for the past 4 seasons that they've been in the playoff running in the National League. Obviously, that's with the Dodgers and other teams out there that they have to play against in the league. But also 470 wins versus 400 losses. It's a 540 win percentage, though. If anything, this is more of a thing, I'd say, Nick, just to simply bridge the gap between the old regime and the new one. And then once the new one takes over, then they can go and can him if they want to.
Right. I'm just saying I think the timing of it is a little weird. That why not wait until the ownership is changed?
I mean, it was also a lame duck year for him being in the last year of the contract, but still, I get that perspective though too. It's like, you could have waited though, but what if he goes to the open market and goes somewhere else? It's this or it's that though. But
No, but he signed through this season, right?
yeah.
So you could have done it in the season.
Yeah, I think they wanted to get it out of the way though during spring training, and that was part of the major big media scrum that both John Seidler and team CEO Eric Grupner had on Monday, was about addressing AJ's contract situation, plus of course the updates on the bidding wars going on. We should hopefully start hearing some bids though in the next week or two, probably by the end of the month, though they've been saying though. But I mean, either way, I'm happy for him though, because what he's done to make the Padres an actual respectable franchise in the last 12 years of him being a part of the ownership, in part and as the GM, and also being a part of the front office. He was the first one of the first guys out of the box when the new group bought the franchise from John Moores at one point in time. So I mean, I'm all for the extension. It's just a matter now of is it a bridge the gap of old regime to new regime? Does he survive the new regime when they do, in fact, take over the franchise? And what does this look like, though, when baseball resumes in a couple of years, if the lockout does, in fact, linger on here? But I'm all for it. I mean, for what the guy's done, obviously, I love it because, again, you would never see the Padres, except maybe in the 90s, go and try to acquire guys like Machado and Bogarts and all, because they would go and get, retreads off the scrap heap usually. And now the ballpark has been what it is. People, again, 3 million fans the past 2 seasons, number 2 in attendance. Season seats have a waiting list for the first time in franchise history. That never happened. So what the team has done though for my hometown is great. And now it's a matter of bridge the gap. And then what happens after you bridge the gap?
Right. I mean, I'm looking at the payroll spending because it's massive now for the Padres.
Never seen here in town until the last several years.
So Machado is at almost $32 million a year.
Yes.
Bogarts, I thought that contract was an albatross.
It is.
And he was hurt at one point, right?
He got hurt a bit in 24, and he really I think he had a much better improved year in 25.
I still think he's way overpaid, though. Like, way overpaid. Obviously, Tatis and his contract, which I think they redid, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They may have redid it in some way after the motorcycle incidents that he had.
Right. Musgrove, obviously. Darvish, I don't think he's going to pitch, even though
that's kind of a bit of a cliffhanger about what happens. Obviously, we talked about the fact that there was, rumors of him retiring that were spilled out by Bob Nightingale and Kevin
which
Acee,
we're not right, by the way.
Which we're not right, like usual. And the Padres might work towards a $14 million buyout where they get that money back in some way, or they do like half and half. Who knows?
But this is money I've never seen spent by the Padres.
Ever. No, never. And that went to my point. Like this is something I've never seen before, other than maybe the '98 team that went and got Steve Finley and Ken Caminetti in '96 and brought Kevin Brown in from Florida. And stuff like this had never been seen. Our 05 and 06 teams that won the division title with 82 and 80 records were all like prospects, some journeymen like Nevin and Klesko and Loretta. We had Jake Peavy, and we still had Trevor Hoffman. Even that 2010 team that got so close and blew the lead to San Francisco, that was all young kids, Miguel Tejada, Ryan Ludwig, freaking Matt Latos and those guys in 2010. And then it wasn't really much, Nick, until 2015 with like Myers and Kemp and Upton, Derek Norris and Will Middlebrooks, where it really began to lay the foundation where the club is at now nearly a decade later.
Right. I mean, they're doing better. The fans are coming in. It's a better product.
And I hate to be the guy again, but you don't have the NFL here now. Who gets the spotlight? The Padres.
True. I get that. But they got to win. Like, do you remember the comparison I made the other night where I said the Padres kind of remind me of the Buffalo Bills?
Which you'd be right, because both of them are the two most cursed sports cities in America. Don't at me.
Because if you look at the Bills over the last, what would you say? Well, McDermott was there for what, 9 seasons?
Oh, I would even go back to the 4 straight losses in the Super Bowl in the 90s.
No, I get that. But I'm just saying, well, that's a rarefied air, just going to 4 Super Bowls in a row in general. But 9 seasons,
they were anticipated to be, watch out for the Bills. They're dangerous. They're going to go to a Super Bowl. Even make it to a Super Bowl. They didn't even make it to a Super Bowl.
Gotten to how many they've gotten to how many AFC Championship games and fell flat on their face because their
A
kicker
million.
misses it or they lose to the Chiefs.
Right. But they just can't get over the hump. But everyone has all the anticipation for the Bills. Now, I would say the Padres are different because they're a much more quiet, under the radar organization most years. Now it's kind of hard to be a quiet, under the radar organization with guys like Tatis and Machado and so on and so forth. It's not, you can't be quiet anymore with those guys. But
yeah, that part I agree with 100%.
But at the same
You gotta
time,
go out. You have to go out now and deliver.
now that's going to be tough with the Dodgers being in front of you. But at the same time, I think more people are going to root for the Padres this year than they are for the Dodgers, because I think the Padres have a motivational story in a sense, coming back from being a small, like you said, losing 100 games or 90 to 100 games a year. Now they're a legitimate playoff team.
Yeah, we're again four playoff berths in 6 seasons, never done. Up until then, it was 5 in 45 years.
True. All right, let's take a little short breakish here. Let's talk about some of the stuff, some of the ideas, some of the things we have coming up. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Where would you like to start?
Well, we have a baseball idea, which
Mr. Albano, Mr. Albano's idea behind the scenes. Yes.
so we're working on a small project called Empty the Bases. Yes, get your cliches and your laughs out. Yes, I know. Or better yet. So this is kind of in the testing phase because MLB, it's not if and when, it's when there's going to be a lockout. We're going to be doing some video game. I don't know. What do you want to call it? So
Yeah, like video game baseball, basically.
where we're going to call games and we're going to AI automate teams and series, and like Callens is going to be Big Bob's Beepers. What was mine?
I might change the name a little bit though, but yes.
And mine was the RELAX immunizers. So we're all going to have names and logos, and we're going to simulate through games watching them and kind of put together a play-by-play and color commentary series, since there won't be any baseball. No time or date, TBD and all that, but it's going to be called Empty the Bases. And then what was some of the other stuff? Sir, can you not break the lounge merchandise, please? We need that for the end of the week.
D-Mark can clean up the mess on Saturday.
Ugh.
Or add more to the mess on Saturday. Which one do you want?
Either one. Also, we have I started to talk about the San Diego Elite Draft League.
Yeah.
And our potential league partner there. We are moving forward, and we are going to start working into that process of getting the games up on here for everybody to see.
That'll be starting on May 9th.
We are anticipating a full broadcast, a pregame show, play-by-play in color. You're going to get to see a full broadcast from 3 camera angles, and we have a post-game show. We're going to do some interview stuff on the side. Think of it as a real broadcast, like Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or so on and so forth. Hockey Night in America.
Yeah, close enough. Hockey night in Canada.
Or Hockey Night in Canada. That's right. Damn it. It shows you my hockey weakness there. But yeah, so we're going to have hockey broadcasts. We're going to have a video game series for baseball. We're going to have football night on the bench during the NFL season for Sunday night, 1 hour pre-show leading into that Sunday night football and Thursday night football. Don't say we don't bring you any content. Never. I don't want to hear it. Don't at me, as you would say.
There you go.
But yeah, it's going to be a busy off season getting ready for the next NFL season. I can't believe I'm already talking about that.
Sheesh.
Obviously, we'll have March Madness coverage. We'll do some stuff of that.
The FIFA World Cup.
There'll probably be a pop-up show for the FIFA World Cup. Hopefully the Olympic show comes back soon.
Yeah, hopefully tomorrow.
You have a lot of catching up to do, sir.
Yeah, a little bit. Men's hockey's now in their medal round. Women's hockey plays for the gold tomorrow morning on Thursday. So we'll see if we can pop in sometime in the daytime, maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
By the way, women's hockey's been running away with it, too.
Woo! Now it's a matter of getting gold tomorrow.
What do they average? Like 5 or 6 goals a game? I
They've outscored opponents, 34-1, and they've had 5 straight shutouts.
Man, well, it also, they kind of had a walkover partially in, what was it, week 1 or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, every game's kind of been, 5-0, 5-1, what have you.
So,
for those, by the way, for those who are wondering right now, Team USA men's hockey 0-0 period 2 versus Sweden.
and then what do we have? Oh, we have benchmark coming up on Sunday. We have small market on Friday. What's small market this week?
Let me go check because I think we have another 2-for-1 for our benchmarks listeners out there on Sunday. But let me go and double check Acast. I believe Friday is going to be a very interesting perspective on things this upcoming Friday. This Friday, we talk about the unwritten will involving family-owned sports franchises.
Yes, I actually like this one.
That was a lengthy episode too.
I preview all these and edit them so I hear them in advance. This one's good because this one has the Lakers in it.
The Dodgers,
the Saints,
Padres.
Listen for the Saints part of this one because this one, I think that's the best part of the episode.
Let's see. So we do have 2 coming out on Sunday because one of them is marking the anniversary of a event. So you'll get a bonus episode again on Sunday. I know Nick's not very big on 2-for-1 specials, but hey, we love our listeners on Spotify and your podcast app. But early in the afternoon on Sunday, you get a episode about the 46-year anniversary of the Miracle on Ice from Lake Placid, done by yours truly over here. Then for the regular time slot, we talk Bounty Gate with Tom Albano.
Yeah, so plenty of content, and it's gonna feel very busy on the weekends once the NFL season makes its way back around. Obviously, don't miss the ETB Lounge on the weekends, obviously, and Monday, and well, some of it, or on demand recorded shows. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Check out our YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe because there's a shitload of content that you can't miss.
And also, thanks to everyone who watched the John Ladder Cardi B proposal, not proposal, like the Cardi B shoot your shot video. We got over 1,000 views now on that sucker.
Yeah, and also the video from yesterday that you and Tom did. If I can quickly scroll that has over 1,200 views.
Yes.
So help the cause. The quicker
Please
we get to our watch hours goal, the quicker things we get to blow shit up and do things the right way.
You're all clear, kid. Let's blow this thing and go home.
Yes.
All right, Nick, hour 3 of the program. Piracy of Netflix's exclusive sports podcast, including 3 and Out with John Metalkoff, has already begun on YouTube. Mirrors are now appearing within minutes of the Netflix release, with one pirate channel racking up over 100,000 views before they are being shot down. Nick, is the YouTube piracy wave proof that a walled garden approach for podcasts is fundamentally broken, or does it just show the demand is higher on YouTube than Netflix's subscriber base actually wants you to believe?
Well, this is copyright. I mean, I told you that we see mirror accounts all the time for content of people's shows. I see it for Colin Cowherd's show all the time. People post clips from his show, or which, by the way, ironically, this show is on The Volume, which is Colin Cowherd's network. Am I surprised? No, people will pirate anything to try to make a buck or try to get a subscriber or a view or whatever it takes to make it in this media industry. It's illegal. I should probably state that first, but it's all about the money. I don't know. This one's kind of self-explanatory. Don't do something illegal because it might come back to bite you in the ass in the long run. But people will do anything to make a buck.
Yeah, Nick. I mean, we've talked a lot though about how would we feel, say that, okay, let's say that, we get offered a massive payday from Prime Video or Netflix to put our ETB content on there. Of course, we're going to take it. But when it's the consumer, though, like we are of content, and I know, and I think we've talked so much though, Nick, about, video podcasts, the paywall issues. Again, who though in their right mind, unless you are a absolute, I need to see video of this show, who though in their right mind, Nick, like for Bill Simmons or for the 3 and Out podcast, are you that damn desperate though to pay out of your pocket to watch the video when you can literally get the audio on your phone the next day, later on that day?
It's interesting you bring this up. I was having a conversation with Zan, you saw on here earlier, about, because he's writing for a bunch of sites, and how the industry is changing. And I said to him, look, like, writing is unfortunately on the decline, and video and digital is going this way. So it's like two different directions. Like I love reading the old fashioned like stock where they draw the lines on each side. And I said, look, unfortunately, you're going to have to you have to adjust from being a writer to a digital content producer or digital content creator. Not an influencer. Difference.
Content creator.
Difference. Digital content creator. Because you're going to get shit like this now where people, these are probably paying people, like, who pay for a Netflix subscription. I have access to it, so I'm just going to video it, and then I'm going to put it on a YouTube channel and make money off stolen content.
Yeah.
Like, what are you're just an asshole doing this. Like,
it was funny because, like, we even mentioned, like, the old PSA videos when you would put a DVD into your DVD player. You wouldn't steal this. You wouldn't steal that. So why would you steal a movie?
That's like when you went to the movie theater and they would say, pirating is punishable by a $250,000 fine or 5 years in jail. Or what was that the mattress?
I'm a dumbass.
Oh, Serta. If you remember Serta with the sheep, and it would say penalty of law if you pull the tag off the mattress. No, and they're all behind.
I'm a dumbass.
The jail cell because they pulled the tag. But
I'm a dumbass.
Yes, thank you. I got it. But yeah, Netflix's piracy issue. You know what? Netflix paid for it. It shouldn't be pirated. It shouldn't be out there. But there's no way to stop it.
Yeah. I don't know how you crack down on this. I mean, what's worse, cracking down on NBA tanking or cracking down on piracy on Netflix and YouTube?
Yeah, I don't really know what the answer is. But Netflix paid millions upon millions for essentially call it podcast feeds.
Yeah.
By the way,
oh my God! Now what?
Sacramento Kings star Domantas Sabonis underwent season-ending surgery. This just broke from Shams on Wednesday morning to repair the torn meniscus in his left knee. Sabonis rehabbed the meniscus tear during the season and tried to play through the injury before having surgery now. The Kings are just have like the worst luck.
Tanking. Final.
Yeah, but that's not even tanking. Like, that's just
tanking.
They lost Levine for the year too. So
tanking.
Well, no, he had a serious injury also.
Well, they're going to slap him with a fine still because, oh, yeah, you're tanking. We don't care about the injury. You're tanking.
Yeah, my meniscus is hanging out of my knee.
Okay, here's a $500,000 fine.
Oh, my God. Who the hell cares?
That's what I
Exactly.
say.
Okay, moving on.
It's unfortunate for Sabonis, though. And the Kings have just been snake bit for God knows how long.
All right. Let's move on to Hollywood Gate. here.
Yes, Hollywood Gate for sure. Yes. Police apparently shut down Jaylen Brown's Future of Culture panel in Beverly Hills on All-Star Saturday, claiming he lacked a proper permit. Brown slammed the move as trash because he plays for the Celtics while being in Los Angeles, and also claimed he was targeted, while the city claims the venue had previous violations as well. Nick, given that other All-Star events in the area were untouched, does Brown have a legitimate case that he was targeted or a victim of Beverly Hills' notorious permitting bureaucracy?
I laughed at this whole thing when I saw this incident go down. Get the proper permit if you're going to hold an event.
Especially, though, when the building has already been tagged by the city and the county for having violations of Cal OSHA issues.
Well, okay, right. But at the same time, if you don't have a permit to hold an event, even outdoors, then you're not allowed.
Precisely.
It's plain and simple. Didn't you say like he came out and said, "Oh, because he's from Boston or whatever"?
Because he plays for the Celtics, and where was the game being held?
Come on, man. Are you really going to stoop that low?
Sure. Why not?
Just because you're one of the stars of the NBA doesn't mean you get to break the rules for no apparent reason whatsoever. I mean, you didn't have the right permit. You don't have the right permit. And slamming the move is trash and claiming he was targeted. Give me a break. Seriously? Yes, me too.
All in favor, say aye.
Now, when he says being targeted, does he mean the way I think he means about being targeted?
Option A or option B?
Well, I'm talking about...
Yes.
Because that would be silly, I think, if... I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Let me be very clear about that. But if you don't have the right permit, that's on you. You didn't do the proper paperwork.
Wazowski, you forgot to file your paperwork again.
Leave the abuse.
All right. It's now time for our favorite game on Press Row.
WNBA lockout latest.
So let's get into this. So WNBA player Natasha Cloud has issued a blunt warning, and you'll hear the sound in a little bit because I have it, to the league office, stating the players, quote, will not fucking move until the owners offer a fair deal. With training camps approaching, the 16-month impasse over revenue sharing remains total. Meanwhile, Brianna Stewart has signed a deal in Turkey to ensure she has a home if the season is delayed. What? If the league's biggest stars are already booking flights to Turkey, is the 2026 WNBA season officially on life support?
It's been on life support since they went to the meeting and the league was empty-handed. Plain and simple.
I on the front of Brianna Stewart. What? Because, well, I asked this to you the other night. I said, wait a minute. You're one of the founders of Unrivaled. And what was the point of Unrivaled again? You want to remind me, please?
To not go overseas.
Okay, so you weren't supposed to go overseas. Unless I'm geologically challenged or geographically challenged. Where is Turkey again?
Europe.
And where is Europe?
Far away.
Outside of the U.S. last time I checked, right?
Yes.
So, conflict?
Gotta be.
Wait, was that you saying something, or was that you just playing that?
No,
Okay.
we have an update from the USA men's hockey game versus Sweden. They now lead 1-0 in the second period.
Yes. What was I going to say? Oh, so what do you make of this? You think it's on life support? I think it's on life support.
I think you and I have been on. I think we've been on life support since we first talked about the opening shot of Nafisa Collier calling out Kathy Engelbert during the 5-minute exit interview when the Lynx season came to the end, though, in the league semifinals, and obviously Fee got hurt. couldn't play the remainder, could not play in Unrivaled this season. I think she had both ankles operated on over the course of this offseason. That was the opening salvo when you heard directly from a player with as much power as Fee has. Again, obviously, yes, conflict of interest in our opinion. Again, owner of Unrivaled, VP of the WNBPA, though, but also, I mean, Nick, as oftentimes as we sit here on PR, we always like it's like a love-hate relationship. We love to talk about the WNBA. We hate, though, that it has to be in this manner because of where the league has gone. With, again, how do you show up? You're a multi-million and billion-dollar industry. How do you not show up to a meeting armed and ready to go and to get down to business, as Donny Osmond once said in Mulan, for God's sakes? So
but can we talk about, I'll let you finish that, but can we get into some of the tweets that Alexa Philippou and her story that she dropped over the last day or two?
So, and I don't have them in front of me, but I think
have it.
27, but there's 27% being offered now, apparently.
Well, all right. Before we get there, there's another portion of this because she talks about dates and all this stuff.
Yeah, and we've speculated, though, too, because I was going to say, though, Nick, every damn time, though, that we were, like, ready to go on the air to start the lockout special or the players going on strike, 30-day extension.
Well, they can't
extension.
They can't do that anymore.
Now they can't now because of, I think someone said that we're literally running out of time.
Well, they lapsed out of doing extensions anymore. Yeah. So now it's up to the players and the WNBPA if they're going to strike or not, which I think eventually that's going to happen.
It's a matter of when. It's not. It's no longer a matter of if. It's now a matter of when.
But the thing is, does there have to be a designation, though? Because say they just don't say anything and the season lapses, do they have to officially declare a strike on the W? Or
part of me would think they would have to declare it somehow.
Because you can't just walk out.
No. So they would have to declare that they're going on strike, I think.
So Alexa Philippou has done an amazing job.
We got to find a way to get her on the damn show.
I've tried. I emailed her too. Just haven't gotten any luck. She must be so busy covering this stuff right now. So this was back on the 16th. Some clarification. WNBA training camps are scheduled to start April 19th, the same day as the EuroLeague championship game. It's amazing. What? To say that Kathy's not pre-positioned
Christmas.
In the old CBA, the operative date for players to report is May 1st. So prioritization rules wouldn't apply to Breanna Stewart's short stint. Oh, I didn't even read that. So they're saying that it doesn't apply.
There you go.
Wait, so does that mean she could just say F you, I'm staying out there?
Literally say F you, I'll be in Turkey the whole summer. Kiss my ass, I'm out of here.
And then about 21 hours ago, Alexa Philippou dropped news that the WNBPA submitted a counter proposal. This is the first time we've heard any news on any side. A counter proposal to the WNBA this afternoon, which was yesterday. Sources said they made concessions on revenue share percentage and on housing details.
Which T. Cloud was vocal about, though, before the other comments were made, though, during Unrivaled a few weeks ago. So
here's some of the numbers. The WNBPA's new proposal, again yesterday, seeks an average of 27.5% gross revenue over the course of the new CBA, including 25%, which would be at a $9.5 million cap. I'm assuming they mean the salary cap in year one. On housing, it proposed a phase-out system where teams wouldn't have to provide housing for highly paid players. Oh, they could afford it if they're highly paid. Then, this was about 4 or 5 hours after that. In a statement to ESPN, a WNBA spokesperson calls the WNBPA's proposal, quote, unrealistic and would cause hundreds of millions of dollars of losses for our teams. We are running out of We are running out of time. We believe the WNBA's proposal would result in a huge win for current players and generations to come.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop you fucking lying.
I mean, do I think the WNBPA went a little too hard back on the negotiations?
Yes.
We need the SpongeBob. Oh, wait.
On strike. We're going on strike. I still don't know what strike means, but we're going on a strike.
Yes, Trevor. I think they pushed a little bit too hard back at the WNBA, just slightly.
Well, didn't we also say, though, Nick, as well, that we thought that the players would have to go to the table and at least shoot their shot for like 15, 20, 25, 30% of the revenue?
I said, let's get to 20% and let's call it a day, because both sides are never going to agree.
And they went 7.5% over your threshold.
I mean, they can ask for whatever they want. I'm not saying they can't ask for whatever they want, but did you really expect the WNBA, even though they're controlled by the NBA, but neither here nor there.
Did anyone expect them to go that high and then the league counters with that malarkey about losing money again?
But did you really expect the W to come to the table to say, okay, we'll accept your 27.5%?
Oh, hell no. Please, give me a break.
They weren't willing to go, what was the report last time? They were not willing to go past 10%?
Yeah.
So what made you think they were going to go to 27.5% of the gross revenue?
No way, no how.
I mean, there's a whole story here if we want to really dissect it for a minute. Because
Yeah,
we have
got
time.
until we got plenty of time until 1:50 before we get to press clipping. So we're good here.
So, as we said, 27.5% of gross revenue, defined as revenue before deducting expenses.
Okay.
Over the course of the agreement, including 25% and less than a $9.5 million salary cap in year one. In its previous proposal from December, the union asked for players to receive an average of 31% of gross revenue. So they dropped, I'm trying to do my math, 4.5%? No, 3.5%. 3.5%. Starting at 28% in year one with a roughly $10.5 million salary cap. So they dropped their numbers, and the W is still not going for it.
Yeah, they don't seem to be budging on anything, which is just ridiculous to think.
On the issue of housing, which has also been a critical point in negotiations, the players proposed that teams continue to provide housing to players in the first several years of the new agreement, but that in later years, teams will no longer be obligated to provide housing for players making close to the maximum salary on multi-year deals and receiving full salary protection. The WNBA teams have been required to provide housing for players since the first CBA was ratified in 1999, and in a previous agreement, which officially expired in January. After 2 extensions, teams could provide housing in the form of a 1-bedroom apartment or a stipend, but the league had not included housing provisions in its proposals before its latest one. This is getting ugly. We might as well just put the 26th season probably on ice at this point.
I don't see how we can. By the way, Nick, I'm just updating the banner. So this is how long it's been since Nafisa Collier called out Kathy Engelbert and where we're at today.
Has it really been that long?
September 30th is when she called out Engelbert in the exit interview after the playoffs ended for Minnesota.
I think we did that on playback, if I remember correctly.
We did. It was that night. I got home from work. We did a hour-long program about what had gone on and then we were going to come back like another week when they were like on the verge of going on strike or walking out and said 30-day extension half an hour before the show started.
Just reading some of this. In its proposal from earlier this month, the league made concessions of its own housing facility standards. The league offered to have players on their applicable minimum salary and those with 0 years of service to be provided a 1-bedroom apartment for the first 3 years of the new deal, and for developmental players to be provided studio apartments. The WNBPA had previously proposed having the cost of housing come out of the player's portion of its revenue sharing system, as well as eliminating the housing stipend. This is getting ridiculous now.
I mean, if you're a fan, how are you not pissed off and furious right now with how this whole thing is done. Because right now we're on the verge of losing the 30th anniversary season for the entire league. You know, 2 new teams would have been joining in Portland and Toronto, and LA, Phoenix, and New York would have, had their 30th season of operation. I think not this year, next year. I'm sorry, getting MLS and WNBA screwed up with anniversary seasons, but they turn 30 within the next 2 years with MLS and the W. But I mean, yeah, Nick, this is day 141 since Collier called out Engelbert after the playoffs came to an end for Minnesota.
And I don't think that's going to get any better anytime soon. In a statement provided to ESPN late Tuesday, a WNBA spokesman indicated the union's new proposal would not be enough to move the needle.
How?
Wait. What? So the WNBPA has made some concessions already.
And the league is just not budging on anything.
Right. Quote, the Players Association latest proposal remains unrealistic and would cause hundreds of millions of dollars of losses for our teams. The statement said we still need to complete 2 drafts and free agency before the start of training camp, and we're running out of time. We believe the WNBA's proposal will result in a huge win for current players and generations. Of course, that's what the WNBA spokesman is going to say.
Now, I mean, is that PR written or is that AI written, for God's sakes? Holy cow.
I mean, that's PR written, no pun intended, for written for the
Sounds
W.
like this.
I'm a dumbass.
Yeah. Amid the now 16-month negotiation, the league has continually emphasized the importance of business health and sustainability. Oh, really? Really?
I'll believe that when I see it.
A source familiar with the situation told ESPN the league projects that the WNBPA's new plan will result in losses of $460 million over the lifetime of the agreement. How do you know?
Who are you people?
How do you know that?
Who are you people?
Wait a minute. So now the W is pulling a troll, pulling like what the trolls are doing on social media, claiming that they knew what the league was going to lose.
Make it make sense to me.
ESPN reported in December that the league projected that the union's previous plan would result in $700 million in losses over the course of the agreement, and it would jeopardize the league's financial health. I remember we talked about that.
Yeah, but again, though, can somebody please show me the CVS pharmacy receipt that's it's like 6 foot, it's like 6 feet long, and show me in Morganton where it says that there's a negative $700 million by the WNBA at the checkout counter.
If that was the case, by the way, and I think
the league would have folded by now, for God's sakes.
I think Sampson said it during the interview that if this doesn't get figured out, like there could be a legitimate problem with the W going.
And
forward.
I think Sampson was right when he said that.
Let's see. The two sides are aligned. Okay, this is interesting. The two sides are aligned on implementing a revenue sharing system. Are you? Are you?
Because he's a raw pain in the ass.
In which players' salaries grow as both league and team revenues grow. Really? If you are, why won't you accept the deal?
Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me.
But they have not agreed on what precisely that revenue sharing system should look like, with the league continuing to propose one based on net revenue. Well, yeah, sure. You want all the expenses to be gone and then you pay. You don't want it before the expenses because that means more money would come out of your pocket. And the WNBPA continuing to seek one based on gross revenue. What?
So, Nick, even despite the fact that there's nothing being accomplished right now by the league, we still have this kind of announcement coming out from teams in the league.
Oh, no.
The Minnesota Lynx will play the Nigerian women's national team in a WNBA preseason game at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri on April 27th at 7 o'clock Central Time.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked already.
I don't have an answer for you about, but why, though, are we still doing this sort of stuff?
No.
Stuff and there's no CBA.
But wait a minute. It's important, though, because how can you schedule anything if you don't have a CBA agreement?
Exactly.
And don't give me this bullshit that, oh, well, we still stay under the old agreement to figure out. No. Don't give me that malarkey.
By the way, tickets, per Yahoo Sports, and per I want to get the right of the affiliation right here. So give me like 30 seconds to let me see where I can
All right.
find
While you're doing that,
So
the-
WDAF Television in Kansas City writes that tickets for the game go on sale this Friday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time.
What? But how can they do that though? They can't do. What are they? Placeholder tickets? Is that what they're going to call them?
Gotta be.
How can? First of all, I thought operations were not allowed to happen without a CBA in place.
I thought the same, but okay. I think that happened though too. But what about though as well, Nick, when baseball was going through like the COVID shit in a way, where didn't they have like some weird proposal that they were allowed to still use the old CBA for something for a bit until they finally like came to some sort of agreement?
No, I get that, but like I said, you can technically work through through an expired agreement, and
Which I don't still understand. Like, why is this even being allowed?
Because technically, they call it good faith when you have a contract.
Is it really though good faith though when there's been no progress made in
No,
141 days?
Don't misconceive the title for the action, meaning that they call it good faith, meaning you continue to work under your last contract until you figure out the new deal. That's all it means. It's not good faith meaning like, oh well, in good faith, I'll help you as my friend and I'll do what I got to do. It's not the same action. It's a business based term. When I worked on the John Batchelor show, the syndicated show I worked on, he was out of contract for months, and eventually he worked on good faith for close to a year. He was being paid still, but he couldn't get the contract renegotiated. Or not renegotiated, get a new one, technically. So the only thing good faith means is you continue to work because you want to be paid to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, okay, so again, that was the announcement, though, folks. And the Lynx will play the Nigerian women's national team in Kansas City, Missouri. We believe April 27th at 7 o'clock Central Time, and tickets go on sale this Friday per WDAF Television, Fox 4 in Kansas City, Missouri.
I'm going to ignore, this is just my opinion, I'm going to ignore every scheduling announcement they make until there's a CBA in place. Because you know what this is, right? This is Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA front office telling teams, hey, tell your social media teams, if we just keep putting out announcements, we'll put pressure on the WNBPA to come to a deal. Sorry, that's not going to work. The players have been at it for 140 days.
Yeah, 141 in total, which is just bonkers to think right now at this rate.
This also says the league has proposed that players receive on average over 70% of net revenue, what would amount to less than 15% of gross revenue. Its latest proposal included a $5.65 million salary cap in 2026, up from roughly $1.5 million in 25. I mean, all right, there's some progress there, but that will grow in subsequent years in line with revenue growth. In the WNBA's proposal, maximum salaries, including revenue sharing payouts, would amount to nearly $1.3 million in 2026 and were projected to approach $2 million in 2031, which is nothing. The Supermax, this drives me crazy. The Supermax in 2025 is $249,000.
Jeez.
The average player salary, including revenue sharing, was projected to reach $540,000 in 2026 and $780,000 by 2031. We're not even in the millions yet.
No.
The league said it also has compromised. Oh, this is great. This is a great paragraph. Here we go.
They love that word compromise, don't they?
They do. The league said it also compromised in other areas, such as adding 2 new developmental roster spots. Oh, so you're being nice and adding more players to the league. Yay.
You want a cookie?
Oh, wait. And it gets the way they wrote this is better. And it says including pregnant player trade consent.
De'Erica
Okay.
Hamby's lawsuit.
Okay, so you wouldn't have done that unless she spoke up. Let's just call a spade a spade. Eliminating marijuana testing. Okay.
Brittany Griner's arrest over in Russia.
These are all reactions to things that have happened already. These are not concessions.
No.
Increasing team contributions to players' 401k. See, I didn't even know players got 401ks.
Now we know.
Adding new team staffing and facility requirements. Again, that helps the owners, not the players. And debuting a recognition payment for current retirees. What does that have to do with the current players now?
Absolutely nothing.
Charter flight travel is also set to be codified in the new agreement. Oh, so they're finally allowed to fly private? It's not like when, oh God, why do I forget his name?
Jovis
got in trouble because they offered to fly their players. Please tell me that made you laugh back in the day.
Oh, it did. Absolutely.
I'm like,
y'all are not serious about this shit right now if you're doing this crap.
Wait a minute. You're penalizing owners for spending money?
Oh, yes.
But that's the end of that story. But like, this is going to get ugly. Like, so it's already ugly. Oh, we should listen to.
Yeah, let's have a listen real quick to Natasha Cloud, who was very much vocal about the ongoing issues. Again, she made some very loud, reacted comments on during a unrivaled post-game interview. But now we have more from Tasha. As soon as Nick can get that pulled up here in just a few minutes here, or a second, I should say, as we get near the end of the road on this Wednesday. And to the end of another episode of Press Row. We will again be back with you folks next Wednesday, back here at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, right back here on ETB across YouTube and Twitter here today. But again, day 141 since Nafisa Collier called out Kathy Engelbert during the ending of the postseason for the Minnesota Lynx after she was injured on a play. And furthermore, that led to where we're at now since the call out and no progress made on the home fronts whatsoever regarding the WNBA lockout, that we are now at 141 days since that call out did take place following the conclusion of the WNBA season for Fee and the Minnesota Lynx.
Looks like Twitter's having issues again.
Not again.
No, not with us. I'm just saying, like, it looks like Twitter might be down because I can't see any tweets whatsoever.
Great.
I tried.
So we'll hopefully try to see if we can't scour and find that audio somewhere from Natasha Cloud and her recent commentary, where again, Nick, we know that she was very much vocal right after a game ended with during Unrivaled when it came to her thoughts about where things stand with the WNBA and the WNBPA.
Because I think it was a TikTok video, right?
I believe so, yes.
I'm looking on her TikTok just to see if it's possibly up here. I don't think that's it. Because I was like, I thought maybe the Twitter link was broken. But now I can't seem to find it anywhere. It was good audio, too. She was totally crapping all over Kathy and everything.
Pretty much.
Elon, fix your shit. Christy.
Oh, that's great.
I'm trying here. I don't know why Twitter's being an a-hole lately.
All right, let's see what we got here. So I'm on T Cloud's TikTok. Don't know if I see the video anywhere unless it may have got pulled. Unless she pulled it off, maybe.
I don't know, but Twitter's being a complete dunce right now. I can't even get it loaded. Thanks a lot, Twitter. looking to see if it's
Yeah,
possible.
I'm wondering, though, if maybe she pulled the video for some reason. I do not see it anywhere right now at this rate.
What do you think? The Players Association said,
Maybe they said, hey, enough's enough with flapping the gums. Who knows?
I'm trying to see if maybe I can get it on my phone, and then maybe we can do it that way. See if it's still, see if I can get it open. Come on, Twitter, stop it. Yeah, we're not getting anywhere with this link. All.
So, okay, so I got Twitter to load on my end, but now I'm trying to find out where exactly her video went.
It looks like it got removed.
It wouldn't surprise me, Nick. That would not surprise me.
But why would she remove it? The players have been vocal as you know what. Like, why would they remove it? What, are they that worried about it?
Yeah, I don't see anything now from that video. Or of the video, I should say.
I just remember it being a vocal video, like big time. Like,
yeah, her last tweets, apparently, Nick, were in November of last year.
well, it wasn't her tweet. Like, someone else posted it. But I can't get to the link because Twitter's like acting up currently right now. On the desktop, it's acting up currently. So even if I wanted to get to Twitter right now, like we're having issues here. Should we just go to press clippings and get the show done?
Let's see. Okay, it looks like I found the video finally. Give me a second.
Where'd you find it?
Via somebody who has it. It's a 6-minute long video.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So give me like 5 seconds here. We do it live, folks. We do it live.
Oh, you found it.
All right, here we go.
Everybody's a free agent this year. We all made sure that when we signed our last contracts that they ended with 2025 because we knew that we were coming into a new CBA in 2026. So this year for the WNBA, which is why we're even trying to negotiate even more right now, is because we can't have an expansion draft. We can't have a draft. We can't have anything. We can't have even we can't even have our free agency talks because there's no CBA to even base off of. I can't even go negotiate a contract with any team in the league because we don't know what the cap is. We have no idea. And every time that we keep coming back to the league, there's a new estimate on the overall value of the league that keeps increasing.
Stop.
So you keep increasing and then keep trying to literally depreciate.
That's interesting, right?
It is.
Every time they keep going back to the negotiating table, the WNBA keeps increasing the value.
Every time.
How does that make any sense?
Makes no sense at all.
That reminds me of a certain show name we have on this network.
They keep moving the damn goalposts.
Yes. So, we came back with a negotiation and, nope, sorry, we think it's bigger. Making it impossible. Continue.
Our value, our equity, our finances within the business. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. And I don't want to hear shit else about our league loses money. Every professional league, every organization loses money somewhere. Literally look at their expenses for the year. You can literally look at the Brooklyn Nets expenses for the 2026 or 2025 season. You can't tell me they're not losing money. You're talking about teams that are flopping in the NBA. I don't want to hear none of that shit. But I will tell you what does happen for owners. Like, I remember in our meeting at All-Star this year, the Seattle owner came up and was like, you don't understand, we lose all this money, X, Y, and Z. And I just, we were like, girl, first of all, you get a write-off because it's a real estate investment for you. So already money off. You rent it out, you sign it, you have signage all over the building. You rent it out for leagues to be played with that you don't think that we know that you're getting excess money on and all the other shit that comes with it. So, what are we talking about?
Pause.
So, in perspective, Climate Pledge Arena, the home of the Storm, Seattle, Kraken, Seattle U basketball, Seattle Torrent PWHL. Storm.
Well, yeah, also all the sponsors and all the.
Yes.
By the way, that was about as intelligent as I've heard it from a player. Basically saying, look, stop fooling us. We know you have signage all over the building with sponsors. We know you take in concerts and event revenue. You're renting it out to other college teams and other professional teams out there. Like, give me a break. Stop lying to us as players.
What are we talking about? So yeah, we'll give you updates on the CBA when we get updates on the CBA. But for 8 months, we have gotten no update. We have gotten no update for the last 8 months from the league. What? So yeah. Yeah, Chelsea Gray made more than her entire W salary for 31 minutes of play in a one-on-one tournament. They keep playing in our faces. That is like, it was like the audacity. Whenever we're at their meetings, it's the audacity for me that like, this is not, and I don't mean this as no knock, but this is a league full of women that have finished their degrees from some of the most elite colleges in the country. And you're telling us we don't understand basic economics. You're telling the FISA and Stewie that they don't understand a basic business plan after they started Unrivaled. What? The proof is in the pudding. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What you talking about? You want to take a huge ass percentage of the whole pot, and then what's left of the pot, we have to split. What the fuck are we talking about? If you're taking this big ass piece of the pot, then why the fuck are we splitting the other side that is ours? Why are we splitting it? Because this is what it looked like. This is what it looked like. This is what they want to give us to split. So essentially this is what they're trying to give us. And I'm not fucking playing with y'all. Like on everything I love. I can't tell y'all the percentages, but if this is what they're giving us, this is what we're expected to get because we have to split that. Fucking sense does that make? What is it? No, I'll be damned. I will be damned because I've played in this league since 2015. I'm going into year 11. And from the time that I came into this league until now, we have fucking blown the roof off the bitch. We have blown it. We have blown it off the bitch. You could go back a few years ago and be like, nah, we can't give it to you. And we'd be like, we understand because we're not there yet. That's what we did a few years ago. We're not there yet. So we're going to take the fucking short end of the stick. But when we get there, we're not taking the short end of the stick. We're not doing it again. So, yeah. We're going to get into these CBA talks, but we're not backing down. We're not backing down. We're not taking no fucking percentage that y'all would be disgusted if you heard the percentage that they want to give us.
Oh.
It would actually. And if I didn't sign the NDA, y'all know I'll fucking tell y'all. We can't talk about this shit. I'm going to get fucking sued. But just know.
Did I just
NDAs? Are you bleeping kidding me, Engelbert? This is bullshit.
Whoa, that's a new development.
An NDA did not disclose what the salary or what the percentage of the pie is for the players?
But the numbers are leaking out.
Everything's leaking out, almost.
Hold on. Something's not adding up now. Wait a minute. Whoa, wait. Oh.
In the words of John McEnroe, you cannot be serious.
What just happened?
Make it make sense to me.
No. No. Like, NDAs? Are you bleeping kidding me? What?
Better yet.
But wait a minute. I mean, you could say the WNBA is completely broken right now. But here's what I don't get. So she just admitted something, or as she says, well, wait, is there more to that video?
There's
a little more if we want to watch it.
Yeah, there's a little. Well, give me your point though first, and I'll put it back up.
So that's saying the quiet part out loud, first of all, which she said she was not going to. But can't you get a violation for revealing that there's an NDA, though?
You would think, right?
But Kathy Engelberg, you bleeping kidding me? NDAs? But you guys and the WNBA front office can go and say bleep you to all the players.
Look at all the failure.
No, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, they can go around and say, F you.
Oh, of course.
We'll go around and destroy the player's reputation, say that they're not compromising when the WNBPA is compromising more and the W is not willing to compromise at all whatsoever. Really? Now I understand why the players are pissed off at Kathy Engelberg even more.
I mean, and us as fans are pissed off too because we're going to be probably losing the damn season.
But we were. Whoa.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, wrong button. Go ahead.
But I thought originally it was just frustration over the lockout negotiations and the CBA negotiations. No, I think it was this freaking NDAs that had to be signed. Now I understand why the players were talking in a lot of code when they were being interviewed.
Who are you people?
Because if they said anything, what do you think would have happened?
Yeah, let's continue. We got about a minute left of this here.
This is what they want us to split, which means that we get about this. We want this, not this. We want this. And y'all can have all of this, but we just want this. This is all we want. This is all we want. This. My head barely fucking fit in it. This. You feel me? This. Nah, it's not just all on Kathy. That's me telling you. It's not just all on Kathy. We still have to answer to the NBA. So, Adam and Kathy, both of them, add Adam to it. What? Add Adam to it.
And Nick, we had talked about though that Silver may have had to get involved eventually.
Well, Silver's already involved. He's already admitted it during the All-Star Game press conferences. He admitted it. That's a. But holy shit!
How much time do we have left? We got 30 seconds.
We're not even asking. Like, people are like, "Oh, you can't get with that music." They get 50%. They get 50% in the NBA. They get 50%. We're not even asking close to that. We're not even asking close to that.
That's the other thing, Nick, that people always misconstrued. Oh, they want to get 50% of the revenue and they don't generate shit for the sport and stuff. Where though, before we heard from Tosh, have you heard any players say that they won 50% of the pie? I don't think so.
Okay, there's one little misconception that I want to clear up because people are saying, well, it should be easy. The WNBA players should get 50% of the revenue. And it's that easy. Snap your fingers and make it happen.
If only it was that easy.
No, but I'm not talking about from the standpoint of a negotiation. The NBA makes 10 to 15 times more money than the W does.
Of course.
So there's more revenue involved in the NBA than there is in the W. So I don't want people to misperceive that you could just snap your fingers and say, oh, well, we should get 50% like the NBA does. It's not the same revenue model. I want to just make that clear so people understand. They're still entitled to more revenue because they're the ones driving the model to make more money, to get these TV deals, to get this merch, to build more brand deals, to build more commercials, more digital.
Add more teams.
Add more teams, which they can't even get those drafts off the ground because they can't get a CBA done. But let's be careful and not compare revenues between the NBA and the WNBA because they're not the same thing.
And I also think, Nick, that there's been commercials on USA advertising WNBA basketball USA this spring.
Again, how can they do that until they know they're having a season?
Exactly. It's stupid. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, though, folks. We're getting out of press clippings here. So we're way past the 3-hour time limit here, Nick. We got 4 of them to get through real quickly here. Sacramento State University is gambling on the MAC. Yes, the Mid-American Conference for $23 million, as the Hornets, who play in Sacramento, California, will pay over $20 million to join the MAC for FBS football, foregoing 5 years of conference distributions. Okay. Why? Away from that?
Well, they're not going to make any money, so I don't understand what the point. So you're technically getting penalized on both ends
because they have to pay for the team to fly out for conference games, and they have to pay for their own travel to get out to the conference games.
I wasn't even referring to that. You're right. Actually, technically, they're getting penalized on 3 ends because
strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Go sit down.
They have to pay to leave instead of waiting for, because I think you have deals when you're in certain conferences, right? And then you can leave. But then you have to not take any distribution for 5 years, which means you're instantly in the red as soon as you enter that.
You're going to be in the red till 2031.
And then on top of that, you have to pay for the travel of all the teams that have to come out there.
On top of you traveling out to the Midwest.
This is a loser. Complete loser. How do you win this one? You don't.
So that now makes Sacramento State, Cal, Stanford, USC, and UCLA as the 5 FBS programs who now play in conferences nowhere close to California. Duly noted.
Yeah.
Nick, Meta World Peace has claimed now that he cannot travel to Australia due to what he called manipulated edits of the Mouse at the Palace, mainly with the ESPN 30 for 30 documenting the brawl that he talked about on Benchmarks coming up in a few months.
This is stupid. Like, you would think that a misdemeanor charge would have dropped by now, right? Or at least been cleared.
Yeah.
At this point. Now, we all know Meta World Peace is not a perfect person. We know that. Or they say Meta World Peace, the artist formerly known as Ron Artest.
Ron Artest.
Do I think he deserves to be given opportunities? Of course, I do. That apparently he became friendly with the person after all those years that caused the brawl. I didn't realize that one misdemeanor charge could stop you from traveling, but I do know being a criminal, you can't travel out of the country.
Yeah. That's kind of what he was getting at, which is weird.
But I don't know what manipulated edits. Oh, so he's referring to that. They say they changed the way it looked.
I think that's what he's getting at. Yeah.
I mean, AI could do that those days.
That's true. Nick, Fox Sports continuing to plummet in the ratings on FS1 is now reviving the Speed Channel brand for another new racing podcast featuring former NASCAR drivers Kevin Harvick and Will Buxton. So much for the new car.
I mean, is it nostalgic? Yeah, sure. Because they're bringing Speed back. Because that was the former channel before FS1 came in and basically tore up the place and made it FS1. But again, do you remember what I said to you the other day about FS1?
Everything is basically podcast content being re-aired on the station.
It's either licensed content for TV or it's podcast distribution. Except for First Things First, which is on from, I think, 3 to 6, I think. And everything else, like right now, currently, because the baseball classic is coming up, they're going to air some...
they're going to end the games. Yeah, Fox has the rights to the WBC.
Well, right now, they're doing, like, classic rewinds, almost. Yeah. And then, like, they're going through how the stories came to be. But they really have nothing on there that's considered, like, their product. Which is odd. Like, because they air Wake Up Barstool from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. They re-air it, or actually, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, which would be 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Then they re-air it from 10 to noon. Then they have The Herd, which is obviously Colin's radio show. So Fox and Premiere have a deal, but that's a licensed product, technically. and then it's a bunch of re-air shit. What?
Nick, we have a follow-up to the story that you broke concerning USD basketball, my university, firing Steve Lavin per the official school announcement. USD Athletics has announced on Wednesday that Steve Lavin, head coach of the men's basketball program, will not return for the 2026-27 season. Lavin will still be the coach for the remainder of the 25-26 campaign per the school's announcement.
Really?
Yes.
I did not expect to hear that. Wow. How do you feel about that?
I mean, honestly, I'm fine with it. They only got like 4 games left plus the tournament for the conference.
Yeah, but that's awkward when you get fired and...
Yeah, they got 3 games plus the conference tournament starting up on March 5th.
By the way, I guess since we're dueling for breaking stories. MSG Sports is exploring a spin-off of the Knicks and Rangers into 2 separate publicly traded companies.
I heard about that. That's kind of interesting.
Minor league franchises for each team also owned by MSG Sports. The G League's Westchester Knicks and the AHL's Hartford Wolfpack would go along with each parent organization.
Interesting.
And I was reading also that apparently if this happens, you would be able to buy shares like on the stock market, like to own like the Knicks or the Rangers because they'd be separate entities. How cool would that be?
That would be something. Own a piece of either either team.
What's on your portfolio? Oh, I own a small portion of the Knicks. What?
The New York Knickerbockers.
3-point goal.
So, yeah, that I wanted to check to see if the school put out an official statement. They have USD's AD and Executive VP of Athletics, Kimya Massey, wrote in part, mainly Nick, and I've been saying this for a long time, as the Division I college basketball landscape continues to shift, Steve has always demonstrated a authentic concern for the well-being of our student athletes and supported their growth both academically and in the community. Over his tenure, our team has consistently produced strong academic results. We appreciate the contributions and wish him the best in his future endeavors. Again, and furthermore, again, the AD again further said, with college athletics evolving rapidly, this becomes a pivotal moment for the school's basketball program. Strong foundation with the new practice facility, the gym, so on and so forth. But again, though, Nick, mainly again, this is a moment, as Kimya writes, so this is a moment for us to set our expectations even higher and chart a new course for the program's excellence. Competing in the upper tier of the West Coast Conference and being a regular participant in the tournament should be the expectation for this program. We are committed to providing the leadership, NIL, and revenue sharing investment and student athlete support necessary to recruit and sustain a roster that makes both USD and the community proud. Which again, Nick, this has been a very big thing, though, as I have long said, for a program like this university that I happen to work at. These times are crushing programs like this, sadly.
That's a good point. And by the way, I forgot to do this one before. But John Fanta, who we both love,
is working NBA on NBC.
Is going to be doing his first play-by-play appearance for the NBA on NBC. Yes!
I love it.
He's going to be calling...
Was it Wolves Warriors?
It's Wolves Blazers.
Okay.
And it's going to be
with rivalry.
And it's going to be with Jamal Crawford and Grant
Liffman, yes.
Who the hell is that?
He's the FOS guy or sports media business guy for them.
Oh, right. I forgot they hired you know what? I like that. I like that they have a business media person. But
should have called us.
They should have. It's going to be on Peacock. So I'm assuming it's a Peacock game.
Peacock game on Monday, I'm guessing.
And it's also going to be on NBC Sports Network. So it will be on TV.
Good.
Also, even though it's technically a Peacock
overflow because of the Olympic game coverage.
Well, no, NBCSN now gets all the games.
Yeah. Okay.
So even if you hear a Peacock, what is it, Monday night, whatever they call
Welcome to Peacock NBA Monday, presented by Xfinity.
So if you have NBCSN, which I think right now is only on YouTube TV, YouTube TV customer over here. The one time it benefits me.
Yes.
you can actually, the games all go to NBCSN now. So if you have YouTube TV, you're welcome, America.
By the way, Nick, off the cuff, you work at a religious-based university when you get the email about Mass at 9 p.m. for Ash Wednesday today, which is what USD is.
Fair point. Let's see if there was anything else that we missed. Did we miss anything else?
We can skip over the Rubenstein and Epstein crap because we already talked about the Epstein files last week or 2 weeks ago.
God, enough of the Epstein files. Had enough. All right, what's coming up the rest of the week? By the way, thank you. 112 people finally watching. It looks like posting those links and doing the 5-minute countdown really.
Got 101 people on the ETB Network Twitter account watching the show.
It's because I didn't do it for the rest of the other accounts. I'm gonna have to do that. Maybe that'll help it going forward. We will get Pete Weber on this show at some point. My life goal.
Yes.
But no, what's coming up the rest of the week? So
MTGP comes out tomorrow. We got Outsiders tomorrow. We'll have some Olympic game coverage in the afternoon tomorrow as well once they get off the air for about half an hour to catch up on what's going on over in Milan Cortina.
Yeah, and then breakdowns Friday. Do we have anything else?
Game day on Saturday.
Oh yeah, so we have
I think our first off-season edition of Gurus on Sunday morning.
Yes, we do. So a lot coming up. Like we said, benchmarks and small market edition, which we still got to get caught up on small market. I think benchmarks is like all the way through May. It feels like at this
point. I think now we're finally into March for small market edition, I think.
And there's some good ones coming up for that. Hopefully, you're working on some soccer ones too.
Yes, we are.
And by the way, you're going to hear some new voices finally on benchmarks.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be you and I doing them all the time. Oh, but that'll do it for the show. Make sure you join us next week, February 25th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you follow us on social media at PressRowETB across all social media platforms. We need to do better posting clips from the show. That way people can find stuff. If you missed any of the interviews we've done over the year so far, those are all up on the YouTube channel.
We will have the interview with Tom and Zan up in about a day or two as well.
So just make sure you stand by for all those. A lot of people still commenting on the Pharrell interview.
Yes.
That interview will live forever. I'm just going to say that now.
Yes.
But yeah, everything will be up there. So make sure you check it out. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Like, subscribe, watch. The quicker we do things, the quicker we can monetize, the quicker we can start really punching away at certain things. So anything else to say before we get out of here?
I think that's everything. I got to get ready to go to work.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to work right after this, right?
No, I got time to go and grab a bit of food and then go and get ready to go to the arena about 7:30 Eastern.
You don't have to pull a Keith McPherson and
no,
run out of here.
No, not today.
Thank God. But that's it, everybody. Have a good week. We will see you next week. We'll probably have more news on the WNBA lockout front by next week. And yeah. So for Cal McClure, I'm Nick Morgeson. We'll be back with more sports media debauchery next week. Debauchery. Yes, I'm ending on a SpongeBob reference. Get over it.
We'll see you next week, gang. Have a great day.
See you next week, everybody.